You are watching the Vodka stream.
Hey, yo, what is happening, everybody? Welcome to the Vodka stream. There's my knee. That's right. How you doing? Not live on Instagram because I forgot to charge my phone again, which reminds me I should probably plug that thing in. Yeah, all right. Let me do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I was gonna pull up the live on there, and I was like, nope, not happening. Because my phone is almost dead. How you guys doing? Cheers. It is Friday. It's the end of the week. We got lots to talk about. We got the I Have Stone podcast guys coming on. And going to be talking about their movie, Decroux. And we talked about it the last time that they were on. And they basically, have the movie out. We'll provide the link. I'll make sure to get that link out there. Let's see. Let's make sure. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna talk about their movie. It's a very cool movie, interesting movie, and we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about it and have a good time. But before that, we'll do a little bit of Q&A. We'll get the guys in here. And do all that, but let's go ahead and say hi to people. But firstly, I want to say cheers to all you guys. Happy Friday. Cheers. I'm going to give my little, quick review of the Fall Guy, the full review of the Fall Guy. Hopefully you guys watched my first reaction. So cheers. Cheers first off. And then this is something new I'm going to be doing also. And every Friday, I'm going to just basically announce this into a person. Basically, like I've said, I'm trying to push the Patreon especially after everything that happened with the YouTube channel last week or, a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago. I've been really trying to push the Patreon. And yeah, guys, if you want to support the channel, you can go check it out. The link's provided down below. You could join for free. But, like I said, go over there because you just never know what's going to happen with this whole YouTube thing. I mean, that's what we kind of learned. Like, it could just be taken away just like that. But but one of the things I wanted to do is, if you do take the top tier, you'll be an executive producer for Film Junkie, all the Film Junkie streams for the week. So we're going to start off right here with Jason McKenzie being the executive producer of the Vodka stream, as well as the Film Junkie lives all the way into next week. So Jason McKenzie, sir, love you. You are the executive producer of the stream tonight. So cheers to Jason. Awesome, dude. Awesome, dude. Thank you, of course, for your support. I know you're out there right there in the chat. Sorry, I was a little late, guys, but, wasn't quite fully ready to go. But, hey, we're here. All right, we got Max Wolf Danger right here. Hey, Dave, what's up? Lots of people talking about Dwyane Johnson pee in the bottle. And I was like, wait, what? I did not watch the Fall Guy movie. It's all good. But, yeah, the pee in the bottle thing is pretty interesting. What's going on, Phil? Good to see you. We got Zach. Okay, Zach. This is real life friend, Zach. Well, we're like, we're friends of friends, but we're friends, Zach. We're still out there. Good to see you. When I was like, Zach. Oh, yeah. So this is actually somebody I've had numerous nights drinking with. So, and then we got Mama Film Junkie. Great to see you. Love you, Mom. Love you. See you Sunday. We got Shane right here. Good to see you. Okay, no, I'm not going to give any Fall Guy spoilers. I'm just going to give a little mini review before we bring in the guys to talk about their movie. So, okay. Let's see. We got Eleanor. Always great to see you. Curious about the Cavill conspiracy. Well, I mean, I kind of already talked about it on Film Junkie Live, but we'll talk about it too. Just something that was like, out there that's not really a conspiracy. I've been, it's all just about who do you blame for Cavill not returning as Superman. And it all kind of got revealed this week. Kind of interesting how, firstly, we had James Gunn respond to somebody at the beginning of the week, and then we get this Dwyane Johnson article that comes out that actually kind of talks about that. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. So, Okay, who else we got? Salud, Mr. Trevino. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, we got Mr. Venom as well. What is up? Okay, who else we got here? Just got out of the Phantom Menace. Okay, so you went. That's right. May the 4th is tomorrow. Yeah, May the 4th be with you. Anytime that I hear May the 4th, I just hear Mike Tyson saying May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. I don't know why. That's what happens in my head. I mean, it's great. I love the play on the date thing, but when I hear it, I just think Mike Tyson is saying, May the 4th be with you. I don't know. It's just where my brain goes. It's interesting. So you're doing good. I'm just in shock at Dwyane. Yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff, of course. Cheers. There's my executive producer right there. And oh yeah, sorry, you did. And cheers to you. You did supply a super chat. Ahoy, ahoy. See, I mean, that's why Jason McKenzie is the first executive producer of the Vodka stream, because, he helps keep that pirate ship going. So yes, Jason, you are going to be the executive producer of all the streams all the way till next Friday. And then next Friday, I'll announce somebody else. And then we'll go back around and you'll be exec again. Good to see you, Axel. I don't know if to say hi to you. We got Ryan right here. And then we got Chris Balga. I'll see you later, of course. Saw the Fall Guy. Cool. Yeah, because probably not too many people are like going to see the Fall Guy that's going to be on the panel. So, we'll have a conversation about it. I'm curious to hear your take. We got Game City Savior. Hey, Pinata. That's how you wish was still uploading. What's a YouTube channel you wish was still uploading? Chris Wong Swenson. I don't know what happened to Chris. I was just kind of like thinking about Chris today, and I looked, and he's been kind of MIA for a bit. I don't know what's going on with that. I even messaged him on Twitter, but I know he hasn't even posted there, so didn't have his actual number. I don't know what's going on with Mr. Swinson, man. Venom, what's going on? Good to see you back on the Vodka stream. The Vodka. What the hell was that? Jeez. Who else we got? We got Venom Wire as well. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Cool. All right. So we got all that. Okay. And, one more time, executive producer, Jason McKenzie. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. All right. Before we bring the boys in here, let me give my little quick review of my drinking review, I should say. The Fall Guy. What the hell? What's that noise that's happening out there? Somebody anyways. Geez, after watching their movie, I'm a little creeped out. Anyway. If you watch the trailer, which we'll probably pull up here. Anyways, cheers. So The Fall Guy. This movie is just tons of fun. It's one of those, going in, David Leitch was just going, okay, I'm going to make a love letter to the stunt community. It's not going to be a full-on okay, this is how stunts work. This is how the whole thing works, and blah 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 blah. It's not like that. It's going to be over the top. It's going to be meta. There's going to be a little bit of, like I said, there's some Tropic Thunder-esque kind of things that are happening here, and I dig it. And the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt is superb, and they're both great. Does every joke work? No. Does it all work? No. I was actually worried a little bit. I'm not going to lie. At first, I was going, it's not, they're trying. Are they trying a little too hard right here? Are they trying a little too hard? But I dug, because the opening shot is great. It's but I was digging what was going on with the visuals, but then I was kind of worried about the humor and stuff like that. And yeah, it doesn't all work. I would probably say for me, maybe about half of it, 60% of it maybe worked, and some of it was kind of okay. But then I was hoping for make me literally LOL, and there was a couple times it did, and I was like, okay, that's what I needed. Thank you. And then the stunts were insane. The action's great, and like I said, it's over the top, and a love letter to the stunt community. And stay through the credits, because you actually see some behind the scenes stuff and everything. So, and it's got some twists and turns. It's predictable though. It really is, but it's just a good time. It's just a really good time. just a really good time, and you could tell that they had just an excellent time at making this movie. And I think that's just like, all right, that just it works for what it is. And there's some surprises, definitely some surprises that we won't get into or anything like that. But go check it out, guys. Support these movies. Support these kind of movies. David Leitch. When I was looking at his filmography, he's really hasn't had a movie that I've walked away going, that sucked. No, I've always been walked away going, okay. I mean, the guy started with John Wick, for God's sakes. I mean, how do you start? And then Deadpool 2, he had Atomic Blonde. I mean, he had Bullet Train. That was one of my favorite movies of last year. And right now, Fall Guy might be in one of my favorite, might be in the top 10 list of this year. It's certainly like a fun time. And you know what you're in store for when it comes to that. But yes, go check it out if you love action and you want to show some love to the stunt people. There you go. So good times. So go enjoy it. Support these movies. Support these movies right here. Yes, right there, Ryan. There is Bullet Train vibes for sure. Hobbs and Shaw. That's right. He did Hobbs and Shaw as well. What's going on, Lane? Good to see you. What's up? Seems like you enjoyed the Fall Guy. I'd love to see David Leitch tackle. Not everybody has. I mean, he could. He very well could. I'm just trying to think who. But give me a second, guys. I totally forgot. We're going to bring the boys in right now, but I totally forgot to turn on my other lights. It's going to get. I always forget because now the sun is setting. So I was like, oh shit, forgot to turn on my lights. Give me one sec. All right, sorry. I was like, whoops, forgot to turn those off or turn those on, I should say, because, like I said, it was light. What the hell? Why is that not working? There we go. There you go. All right, we're good. All right, let's see here. Do that. What? No, commercial? No, stop it. Don't say anything. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to their movie. Pin it. Oop. Well, I got to wait. God, this YouTube, you suck. Now, see? YouTube, you suck. Well, I will pin it when somebody send another chat because YouTube puts this overlay thing where I can't pin it until it moves up a little bit. There it is. Thank you, Lane. I swear to God, some of the stuff when it comes to technology and overlays, some bad designs out there. But anyways, all right. Well, cheers. Let's go ahead and bring the boys in right now. Let's do some chatting. We got Kyle. We got Dimitri. We got Jordan right here. What is happening, guys? Welcome back. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Yes. Good to see you guys.
How you
doing? I'm doing pretty good.
Oh,
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Yeah. Friday. And talking about this weird, creepy movie that you guys made that we're going to get into in a little bit here. Jordan, this is the first time I'm meeting you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice background.
Seriously, thank you for having us back on.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's a long time coming. I know, like, the last time you guys were on, we were talking about, and you had, like, a little scene for the movie, and then to finally see it and everything, it's cool. I shouldn't turn on that one. There we go. All right. But now, congratulations on getting it out there. How does it feel?
Feels great.
Man of so many words.
Well,
yeah,
it's one of those things. I love, doing it, but when it comes to doing it, it's kind of a pain in the ass in the same time. So it's one of those things where I finish it and, we have other movies we want to do. And I'm like, do I really want to go through all this again?
See, that's what I want to get into. It's like, and that's what's fun about getting into like these kind of films, like little short films that obviously you have a budget of $17 maybe, if that, maybe.
If that,
yeah, if that. And we had the Geek First guys on here when they had their film that they put out there. I've had Axe on here talking about his Robin film. I mean, and I've made short films in the past myself, and yeah, it could be just a complete pain in the ass to try to do this when you don't have a budget and you're trying to pull. But there are some things in here where I'm going, okay, I gotta ask you, like, how did you pull? Somebody in your family must be a cop. But I'm just saying, so you had there's a police car in here, and I'm like, wow, how'd they pull that off? Like, somebody's got to be related or somebody, right? Or something.
Yeah. So actually, one of the guys in the movie, he plays Detective Hansen. His name's Cody, and he is a police officer. So basically,
so he really is a police officer.
Yeah, and
yeah,
we actually got the okay from his department to do that, as long as there was nothing representing their department in it, which I did a lot of editing to that to make it happen. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because that was like one of the things that stuck out. And, it just has the technical, thing was just like, wow, they got a freak. Because there's a really cool shot of you running, dark headlights, lights. And I was like, whoa, it's just. I went like, oh wow, that's a cool shot right there. Because I love, like, just obviously your film is very artsy. And like I said, it's in the link, guys. Go check it out. You don't have to check it out right now, but go check it out when you can, or you could check it out right now if you want to hear me rambling like crazy. Yeah, no, it's I'm like, well, first off, let's get a little background to it. When did you guys come up with the idea? And you did I say it right? Mary Decroux?
Mary Decroux.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I know, like, there's different ways to, like, say that with the UX at the end.
So, basically, the story stems from a time in my life where I kind of isolated, cut off from the rest of the world. I just focused on me and my mental health. And it was like one of the best times in my younger adulthood. It was nothing but beneficial for me. Kind of got me closer to my family again. It was good. But I was sitting down trying to write a cool story, and I thought about that. And I was like, it'd be really cool to focus on a character who does that, but it has the opposite effect. Like, you isolate yourself to a point where you actually have negative repercussions. So that's how it started. And then I started thinking about what would be really creepy. What could I add to this idea? And I was watching something that had a mime in it. And I just thought, oh, there's something cool. It was actually like a mime at an aquarium, I think. He was like messing with people as they walked by. And I was like, that'd be really creepy to, like, have a mime feel to it. And I Googled.
There is something weird. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, but the first one that popped up was Etienne Decroux.
Yeah.
Who was a French actor, and he was deemed the father of modern day mime. So I liked his last name, Decroux.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. I threw a little thing in the credits just to honor him and his legacy, I guess. But yeah, I liked his last name, and then I thought it would be cool to, like, have happy in the title, so I chose Mary. I just liked how it rolled off the tongue, because this movie is anything but happy. So
what are you talking about? I walked away going, wow, I feel very happy after this. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, I brought it to Dima, and sorry if I call you Dima.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I brought
is that like a thing? Is that like a thing where it's like, it's just a nickname?
So Dimitri's his name, but if you're like friends with him, you call him Dima.
Okay.
So, anyways,
so you can call me.
Yeah,
Dima,
I brought it to him, and I kind of thought he would shoot it down, but no, he was all about it, and we started to whiteboard it out.
That's the way you said that in the project. Okay. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you ignored me, by the way.
Yeah, how dare you? It's all good. But you know, I do want to say, I do want to like say this too. If anybody wants to remember, like one of the reasons why these guys came on here is like, remember there was the whole Snyder cult kind of like videos that you guys did before that. You know, I mean, you're not doing it now, but you know, when you guys did the whole thing, and was it last year or was it the year before? I can't even remember how long ago that was when you guys did those.
It was actually 2 years ago.
Yeah. It was 2 years ago, right? Yeah, if you guys remember, like there was like the whole thing where that, and then of course the pillars, and it was funny because everybody was going, "What the hell was this?" And you guys really did cause some, you know, ruckus when it came to, you know, the Snyder community, and it was funny because obviously when you were naming the pillars, you named me, you named I think Swenson, you named Meg. I forgot who the fourth one was. Do you remember who the fourth one was?
So it was I can't remember either.
See,
now.
That's the thing.
Sean O'Connell.
Put it
Sean O'Connell.
Was it O'Connell? Okay, I was thinking Sean O'Connell, but I thought I was wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys remember those videos, and yeah, they did some you know, some stirring of the pot. So just a little. I meant to bring that up at the beginning, but yeah, it was fun. It was funny, and then yeah.
I mean, I would say that's where Dima and myself specifically really honed in on our filming and editing skills.
They were good videos. They were very well done. They were very well done.
And then we were like, we should try to do something serious. So, and that's kind of where Jordan comes into the fold because he actually worked at the mall that Dima and I worked at. So we all three met in the same place. Okay. And we started making, you know, videos together for fun. And he always had really cool ideas. And he was just always a part of them, even if he wasn't in them. So naturally, when we're like, oh, we're going to make a movie, brought him into it. So, and he's had a lot of creative ideas when it comes to scenes and dialogue and all that. And he's actually a big part of the next movie that we're working on. So I'm really excited about that.
Nice. And then, so you come up with the idea, you're thinking mimes, which, yeah, good idea. Because I mean, one of the things like when I was watching it is there's a lot of score, not a lot of sound. And I went, it's kind of cool though, because I mean, obviously sound design can be such a pain in the fucking ass. You know, when you're outside, there's the elements, you're trying to use some microphones all like crazy. I remember like when Travis and Geekverse were, I mean, their film was all in the woods. So you got leaves rustling, you got all this stuff, you got the elements. And yeah, there's times where you just hear like you know, you hear the wind, you hear stuff, and it's like, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. So when I was watching your guys' film, and I was like, it's kind of a good idea to just really just emphasize a lot of just the score, because I mean, obviously you have a mime, you have this thing when it comes to a mime, it's like, well, you don't need a lot of dialogue. To be honest, if you really, I mean, was that like an approach when you like were coming up with the idea, is to be like, minimal dialogue, more of like, okay, so we're gonna have like scenes where it's just like, you know, we got these different, well, you know, I'm not gonna say too much, but yeah, where it's just like you're really just gonna represent a lot of, almost like a silent film in a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually watched the Etienne Decroux, that actor. I watched a lot of his films, and the music over them is what really made it eerie to me. Obviously, there's not a lot of actual miming in this movie.
But you do a good job with some of it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I kind of like the idea that you know, I try and I get frustrated to the point where I feel like I need to go out into the real world and get inspiration from actual people. So that's kind of where the stalking people comes into play. You know, so like he plays the dude sitting on the porch drinking. I mime what that guy was doing and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, the music, that was kind of my goal from the beginning. Cause I'm a big music person. I've been in bands. I've drummed most of my life. So I thought it'd be cool to like write my own. Yeah. Hell yeah. I just thought it'd be cool to write my own music for a movie, you know, and
that's what I was going to ask. Like where like, so you wrote the music.
Yeah. I wrote and recorded all of it, on GarageBand actually.
Nice.
So I just had a keyboard, pick different sounds, put it all together. So yeah, all the music and that's original for me.
That's freaking awesome, dude. Because I was wondering, I'm like, there's no way that you just like, downloaded any of this. Like, oh, this is just copyright royalty free. I'm like, no, somebody made this music, and because it fits so well with all the scenes, I'm like, there's no way that this was just pulled from somewhere. So that's pretty awesome, dude. And I was, well, yeah, that's great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's cool for me because I've never been someone who can finish something creatively. I always feel like nothing's good enough that I do. So I actually was able to write music and put it on something and commit to it for once in my life, and it felt really good.
So. No, that's good. I'm with you on that. I there's sometimes where I just go, no, this sucks. I mean, there's been times where I've recorded so many videos. I'm like, no, that didn't work. That's why I think like doing stuff live, I'm just like, no, now you have it. It's there. So you have to like, if you want to turn it into things, if you want to clip it out, you just clip it out, just do whatever. Yeah, it's not the way you want it. It kind of forced me into going, no, you can't just do that. But I'm with you where if you try to do something and sometimes you just go, nah. Yeah, you start second guessing yourself. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because some of the music gets inspiration from these guys. Like Jordan is a big fan of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones uses a lot of string and brass instruments, so a lot of the score in this uses both of those. And then the other parts are inspired from the Warriors movie. It kind of has like that weird synthy vibe throughout the movie. Yes. So a lot of the music I wrote was inspired from that as well.
Yeah, when I heard some of the synthesizer stuff, I was all about. There is something about the synthesizers. What was I watching last weekend? I think it was what's it called? What's that vampire movie called? Something Night. Goddamn! They did a remake with Colin Farrell, but there's the neighbor vampire moves in next door.
Oh yeah, Fright Night.
Fright Night. God damn, I could not. I was like, Demon Night? No, that's that Tales of the Crypt movie. I was watching that and, it's ridiculous, but I mean, yeah, you hear that synthesizer, there's something about it that's just so eerie. So anytime I hear that, I'm like, it just adds like an element to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you really wanted to emphasize that synthesizer, huh?
Yeah. And I will say that for the trailer, because I didn't want to have an actual trailer for the movie, and then my wife kind of made me realize I should have one. So I made that last minute, and I don't know how to cut a trailer. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I wasn't wanting to use music from the movie, so I was like, I'll just go get a royalty-free track offline. And so that is not me. That whole piano thing, that is not me, but I thought it was cool. I don't know.
Got to do with what's where I know, like there is a special kind of talent when it comes to cutting trailers, because there are people that can cut trailers that, and then you go see the movie, you go, wait, what? That's not the same fucking thing. Like, wow. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where you really have to like pull somebody in to the whole thing, but at the same time, it could backfire because you could pull somebody in and then it could be a completely different movie, and that's happened. And it sucks when that happens, but at the same time, they are trying to sell the movie, and they're trying to pull you in. But it can be misleading. But I mean, your trailer wasn't misleading by no means. But yeah, I know that it is a little difficult because like, how much do you want to show? Which shot? I mean, obviously, you want to show some of the cooler shots. And by the way, Dima, that's right, your name, right? Good job with the photography. I know you were the director of photography on this. There's some cool shots in there. When you were in the shot, though, who was doing the photography? Anybody who was available. Here, have the camera.
And also my brother-in-law Grant, who was in the movie, he actually was holding the camera for a lot of the scenes too.
Okay,
so he did a good job. He did a really good job, because there's a scene where it's actually Dima and I. I'm miming him dying. He's playing the homeless guy.
I was gonna bring that one up. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, but Grant was the cameraman for that one, so he did a really good job. Steady hands.
Steady hands for sure. Yeah, that scene in that movie, and I was like, I was like that. shooting that one, that had to be like how was it, Dima, like or Dimitri? I don't know, for some reason Dima sounds, I don't know, Dimitri. I'm gonna call you Dimitri because for some reason I just go to Dimitri. But how was it doing a death scene and doing the whole like on the ground and
Yeah,
thing?
so that was actually my first time portraying somebody dying, so it was a little weird.
I'm sure,
Especially in the moment, I felt like it was just wrong until I saw it put together, and I was like, it actually looked pretty great. So it was weird, but I kind of just pulled from what I've seen in other movies or kind of what I would assume it'd look like in real life.
No, you did a good job. And then the creepy aspect is, yes, he lies next to you and starts mimicking you. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that's creepy. That's freaky. What the hell?
Yeah, I think Jordan said that was one of his favorite scenes when he first saw the movie. And it was cool because we had like a watch party with the other people that were in the movie. And I feel for these guys because all of them, for the past 2 years, I call them up, we go film something. They don't see it ever again. They don't know what's happening with it, what in context of the story, where it falls. So they see everything for the first time. It was really cool to see these guys and their reactions. But Jordan thought that I was going to kill the homeless, an American Psycho. He just goes up there and starts stomping the crap out of him. And he was sitting there like, oh, you're going to start stomping on him or something. And then, no, I just lay down and mimic him dying. And it was cool to see Jordan's reaction specifically because he was just like totally caught off guard by it. So that's cool for me, knowing that I can film with these guys and still surprise them. That's cool.
Yeah, I definitely thought that scene was going to be similar to what you said from American Psycho. That's one of my favorite movies. And we were filming these things, and I've never been a part of any kind of like film or movie type thing. So we would do these little segments of recording, and I'm like, is that it? Like, what are you're going to be able to do something cool with that, and it's going to look good? And sure enough, yeah, he'd come back a couple weeks later, like he said, because we're just left in the dark. We have no idea what he's doing with it. We haven't seen anything about it. And then, yeah, it looks cinematic in the end. And I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. You can do that from what little we did.
How'd you pull it off? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is interesting when because like I said, I've done it before. I remember I made a poker movie. This is like over a decade ago, probably about 15 years ago now, I think about it. And to try to rile people up, because you have to have a good amount of people, so I have friends, I had friends of friends, and trying to coordinate that was a pain in the ass. And then when you're doing it, you're like, it's just gonna work out. I swear it's gonna work out. So then when you actually show it to them, they go like, holy shit, I didn't know it was gonna be like that. Like certain aspects of like, when you stylize it, because you do a good thing with stylizing it by doing kind of like a chapter thing. So you have like these transitions between, like a transition where it's like, you have like this kind of like old timey like filter on it. And I actually thought that it was really cool what you added to it. It kind of had like a film grain with some of the stuff. And sometimes you could surprise, because people don't know like what you're thinking in your head of like, how am I going to like, how this is all going to play out. So they just know like what you're filming, and it's like, okay. And did you guys have to do some like voiceover work too? Like probably some good voiceover work, right? Because I could tell like there was like, okay, just to keep the, I guess you could say like the tone of the movie, or even just to make sure like I said, when it comes to sound, that's just a whole level of fuckery that you have to do with stuff. It just kind of kept it more where you don't have like, crazy room tones and whatever the hell.
Yeah, we actually did voiceovers probably 3 weeks before I officially put it. When I sent you a link for an early screening, that was like when I officially put it on YouTube, and then I just listed it to officially post it. But yeah, like 3 weeks prior to that, I just went around and recorded everyone that's in the movie. I did a voiceover with them for their parts and added it in. So I thought that was going to be the hardest part, and it was actually the easiest part. That's why I left it for last. So
this is one of those you just like procrastinating, like
Yeah. Well, making the color palette was definitely the most difficult part of this film.
I'm sure.
Because I filmed everything in high saturation. So that way, you know, I like to think you can make things darker, but it's hard to make things brighter. You know, you can make things less saturated, but it's hard to put color into it. So I filmed everything. Like if you see the raw, like principal photography, this looks like a very happy kids movie. Like all the colors are very vibrant. And every time we filmed, it was very sunny out. So I had to like edit the sky for scenes I wanted to look gloomy.
No shit.
Yeah, the color palette was very difficult. I hated it.
I'm sure. But hey, it's part of it. But you also had some luck with some weather, huh? With the rain. There's some rainy moments.
That was cool. We were actually hoping it would rain for some of the scenes. And
yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, there's no way that's fake. And then I went, yeah, they had to have some luck when it came to the weather, because that just added like a whole other level of, oh yeah, let's have it dark and gloomy and rainy.
Well, what's funny is I told Dima I wanted scenes with rain, and he's looking up online like ways to like buy a freaking ginormous tarp and build posts, and then you put a water hose, and then you like, I'm like, dude, we're not doing all that.
I mean, why not? I mean, if you could, you know, I probably didn't fit the budget. It's probably too expensive. Was it pretty expensive when you were looking it up?
Not, it's not terrible. It was a very cheap way to do it.
Okay.
But
yeah, but you couldn't figure out how to do it in the, like when the cop was chasing me, it's like, how do you make it rain over a moving vehicle and a moving person? Like, we would need something on wheels and, you know, a whole production crew.
That was just a little outside the budget.
Yeah, just slightly outside. But yeah, but you know, where are you guys located again? I forgot. Yeah, I know you're East Coast.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
That's right, Cincinnati. Okay, so yeah, that's good. So yeah, I know. I was just like noticing that when I was like, oh yeah, the rain, that adds to it, and they probably. I mean, there's no way. I was like, they lucked out. Good job. Lucking out with you know, Mother Nature right there, at least. But it adds something to it. I mean, it definitely adds a little bit. But so yeah, so when it comes to doing the color palette, I mean, that's just kind of it's like a frame by frame kind of thing almost. I've never really dealt with that when it comes to color palette. I've never tried to. I mean, basically it's like, I mean, what do you use to edit?
I use the DaVinci Resolve.
Okay, never used that.
Yeah, so I was doing research because I wanted to have a program that would edit movies, you know, in HD, and everything's expensive. And it was one of the cheaper end ones that Dima and I split on to get. But it's actually used for a lot of like big Hollywood movies. Like I know they've used it for some of the Transformers movies and some other movies, but it's a really good program. I've got no complaints with it, honestly, other than it updates every day. But I guess that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, they're keeping it updated. That's good. I use Adobe Premiere. I've just been using Adobe Premiere for so long. But they do have a feature in there where, yeah, you can adjust the color palette. But I just never have tried to tinker with that because I just don't know, like, what all goes into that and like how, you know, I know there's like you could just put a filter on it, but that's just lame because sometimes that could really mess up, you know, anything. It can mess up a certain shot. I mean, of course, I'm not doing anything like what your guys are doing, but I can imagine, like, you know, because I remember when you know, especially when they release black and white versions of like movies, like they recently with Godzilla -1. Or they did it with like Logan. They've done it with, you know, and Zach did it with Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's not just, yeah, just turn the black and white filter on and that's it. No, it's not it. You have to make sure that it all looks good. You have to look at, like, I'm not saying frame by frame, but you have to look at every scene and make sure that every frame is looking okay and make sure that you're adjusting it to a point where it still looks crisp and everything still looks good. You don't just slap on that filter.
We originally were going to do a Mary Decroux noir that was going to use scenes we didn't use for the movie so that there's an alternate version of the movie in black and white. I tapped out on that and I told Dima, fuck this, because trying to do black and white is actually more difficult than color. As crazy as that sounds, there was a picture of Vision from when they were doing WandaVision where he was like a different color than the purple that he usually is. And it's because when they were doing the black and white scene, it had to look a certain tone, and his normal skin didn't transfer into that shade. So it's true. Like if you just turn the saturation off, it doesn't look good. You have to go scene by scene. You gotta, it's too much work.
Too much work. That's why they hire like certain people just to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's so much more than just turning on a filter. No, you can't do that. You got to make sure that it all looks good. And I do like the fact that like also when it comes to when the movie ends, you're like, oh, okay, it ended, and then all of a sudden, no, there's more. So even if you see like, oh yeah, it seems like this is the end. No. So you guys had a little bit more. And there's actually a really cool shot with you, Dimitri, that I thought was cool when it comes to turning on a light switch. I was like, oh, that's a cool little thing that you guys did. Because, well, when you first see him in the movie, he's got full on beard. Like he went full, and he's not as clean shaven as he is right now, baby face looking like that. And yeah, you guys do a little thing like right there. And it was just like, I really dug that.
So to explain that, that's actually a tease of the next movie.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So the whole movie is going to be like that, where you have a main character who is almost having like friction in a timeline with other versions of himself.
Ooh.
So, and that's how that effect is going to relay in the movie. If we do it right, it's going to be hard to make a whole movie like that, but we're going to try.
You got to challenge yourself.
Yeah. That's fun.
You challenge yourself with this one now.
And it's going to be more of a challenge because there's less music. There's a lot of dialogue. Like we have a full script for the movie. And actually these two have the most dialogue in the film. So.
Oh, watch out, Jordan. Are you ready for more dialogue?
Heck yeah. A little more this time.
Yeah.
He was like, I didn't have enough last time.
Yeah, well, it'd be cool
because something I talked to him about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wish there would have been a little more dialogue because I like scenes that are kind of I don't know, intense. Like we have a couple scenes here in this next movie that are pretty intense. Like they take place at a table one-on-one, which are pretty exciting. So
yeah, because there's a scene in here where you have like a one-on-one kind of thing, and it's an intense scene, but yeah, not a lot of dialogue. But I mean, the way that it played out, and the way especially when it comes to something like this, I just thought that was like cool how it played out because it was kind of like mind fuckery a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle did a great job with putting all that together because it made it more creepy, I feel like, than it would have been with more dialogue, which is why with the music aspect of it was so perfect because music can add so much emotion and so much more to a scene than just dialogue can at times. And it just worked out perfectly to where it really emphasized the creepiness of it.
I mean, score can
something
really do
cool
that.
Something cool that Kyle's been doing with so we'll show up to record and he'll have a set script ready for us and we'll go over it, we'll read it. And he tells us, like if there's any kind of spin you want to put on this, if you think that something might sound better, go for it. If I don't like it, I'll let you know. If I do, we'll go with it. So we've already been seeing some more of that since we've been recording this next movie, which I think it's cool to like kind of intertwine all of our minds into these scripts and try and make it as good as we can.
Well, you have to do that. It's got to be a collaboration because even though like the person that's making the thing, obviously you have a vision in your brain. Obviously, it's probably a lot easier when like who's going to be playing the parts because you can already like go, oh, well, I know how the cadence of their voices or whatever the hell. But at the same time, you still got to like you got to do a collaboration where it's like and that's what I love. Like if you hear stories about directors, you have to say it like it is, or whatever the hell. It's like, how does that even work? No, you have to like. That's why I love when I see outtakes of like movies, especially comedy movies. It's like, yeah, you can have a script, but it's like, let the fucking comedian actor go buck wild, because you're probably going to get a better take, and most of the time you are going to get a better take because their brain is working off your story, so it's a collaboration. And yeah, you might have wrote this line and thought it was funny, but they gave you a better line, and it's like, well, got to go with that one. So just that collaborative part of filmmaking is what I always loved about it.
Yeah, that's one thing Kyle and I have always talked about from the start 3-4 years ago was, this script that we make for whatever we're working on is more of a guideline of what we're looking for. And we want the actor to know the character almost better than we do, in a sense of embodying that character and knowing how they react and what they would say naturally. Because there's times where, at least with me, when I'm writing, where you kind of just get in the moment of it and you think you're getting it exactly the way you want it. We just want the actor to know, like, we feel like it'd be better this way, and we let them go with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you have like a specific and again, it's all limited. So it's like, okay, so it's you guys, and it's like, all right, obviously when he's writing something or you guys are writing something, what your guys' parts is, but at the same time, it's like, well, you got to feel the dialogue. You can't just like say that line because I heard it this way, but it's like, well, but you're not going to say it that way. I mean, I specifically remember Harrison Ford when it came to the first Star Wars, and he said to George Lucas, he goes, yeah, you can write this dialogue, but you can't fucking say it, And I mean, that's one of the things, because, George Lucas wrote this very robotic dialogue. So, I mean, he had to let the actors like, dude, like, yeah, you got to let us work with this shit, because I can't say the stuff you're fucking writing in this page because it's so robotic. And it's just like, yeah. And I've always said, like, George Lucas, visionary, iconic, everything like that. Bad at dialogue. We saw the prequels and heard some of that dialogue. It's bad. Yeah. It can be bad. But, if you allow your actors to just run with it. And I think, sometimes when it came to certain actors, they just read it, Hayden Christensen. Anyways, no, nothing against Hayden, but I mean, let's face it, some of that dialogue was like, dude, you should have pushed back on some of that sand. Okay. But but I just always loved that clip from Harrison Ford saying, like, yeah, I went up to George Lucas and said, yeah, you could write this, but you can't fucking say it. It's like, yeah, you have to let the actor just take it and make it their own. Yeah. And that's great.
Yeah.
So what's next?
That's something Jordan. Sorry, I was going to say that's something Jordan's really good at doing.
Okay, that's good. No, that's good.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to,
he has like no background in acting or anything at all. So it's been very interesting to like throw him into these things, and he just kills it. I don't know, because Dima's got like training as an actor, and he's with an agency and all this stuff. And Jordan's just a guy I met at a job, and we became friends. And then I'm like, hey, say these lines. And
that's it. That's all. That's the only reason why you're here.
I mean, he's really good at it. It's cool. And I'm not a fan of writing scripts, so it's cool to like Dima said, it's like a guideline. I give it to Jordan and he turns it into something way better. I like that we have that dynamic, and I don't have to even say anything. He just knows what to do. So it's cool.
No, that is cool. I mean, that's what you have to do. It's like a script is just, I mean, I always like what Quentin Tarantino always said. He goes like, yeah, you can have a final draft of the script, but the final draft is what's on the screen. It's not what's on the page. It's like, yeah, I mean, and you're coming from Tarantino that writes great dialogue. And so obviously there's going to be a little bit more like, yeah, pay attention to the dialogue because he's just really good at writing dialogue. But at the same time, there's no way that he's going like, no, you have to say it exactly like this. He's all, no. He probably, there's still a collaborative, effort when it comes to even somebody who's very strong at writing dialogue, where it's like, you have to work with that person to be like, all right, I want you to say it like this, and I know you can, kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like whatever you can add to it, it's like, you gotta allow that leniency. You can't just, and I kind of wonder too, when it comes to like screenwriters, how much do they get like butthurt about like, oh, you changed the line that I love so much, but at the same time, it's like, well, but it worked this way. And I mean, I'm sure that happens a lot, but at the same time, it must be such a weird thing to be like on set and, seeing like what you had in your brain. I don't know. I can't even imagine like that. That's why I love writer and directors, like people who write their scripts and direct them, because I know it's more collaborative, as opposed to just like somebody like got tasked to write the script, or they turned in the script and they had this vision. But then of course there's been now 67 filters that have gone through it, where it's not going to be what they envisioned in their head, Yeah. It's got to be difficult, but hey, we got somebody joining right now though, that's going to be joining in the conversation. We got Chris Balga right here.
Hello, gentlemen.
Oh,
hey. Wow, how are you?
Good. Congratulations on your all's new film.
Yeah, I know, right? We got 2 Batman shirts.
Yeah, we got the memo today. I'm glad we got that.
I know. I'm wearing an Alien shirt, and I'm like, I should have wore it last Friday because it's Alien Day. So I was like, I'm making up for it, I guess. How's it going, Chris?
Good. Glad it's Friday. Very long work week.
Oh, I feel you. I feel on that. But I don't know if you got a chance to watch the movie or even watch the trailer of what these guys did.
I watched a little bit of the trailer. It's on my to-do list to watch the film this weekend.
Yes,
I know.
Oh, wow. I gave you homework at the last minute.
The MCU gives me homework. Why not you all?
No, yeah, check it out. Like it's a really good film, and I really dug it. And like, congratulations, guys. Like I said, when we were talking about it, when you guys first came on, and you guys showed a clip, and you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, because obviously. Kyle, like what's behind you right there on the screen, it does have Joker vibes. There's Joker vibes, of course, in it too, which I'm sure there were some inspirations when it came to the movie, and we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
But I mean, wearing that makeup too, that must have been a lot of fun to put that on every day or whenever you guys were shooting.
No.
I love it.
We filmed most of this in like summertime, and it was just hot and itchy.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Perks
and I sweat really bad. So I like Dima, he's filming it. He would tell me like, hey, it's looking like crap. And I gotta go and redo
it. Oh man.
4 more hours in the makeup truck. All right.
Yeah.
Oh. So basically, okay.
Originally,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, originally I wasn't going to have to do it anymore after the movie, but we've decided that this character will be in our other 2 movies as well. So I'll have to don the face paint somewhere.
Oh, poor guy. Hey, you got to do it. You got to do it for the craft, man. You got to do it for the craft.
Yeah.
That's what the
people like I said, guys, anybody in the chat, it's like, watch it. I pinned it to the super chat. So definitely check it out, and, give it a thumbs up. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
Dave,
I'm what?
I was gonna say, what in the movie were you wondering how we pulled it off? Because I wouldn't mind.
Well, it was the cop thing, because I was like, how did they get a cop? And there was that was the main thing, and then of course it was the score, because I was like, there's no way that's just pulled or anything. But like when it comes to certain shots, I'm like, okay, I mean, obviously, you had a good camera, you have a talented cinematographer that is Dimitri over there. So I was like, I get that, but I think it was just little technical details like that. And then of course there's like a scene where there's kids involved. I'm sure that was relatives or something. I just when I
Some
think
random
of stuff
kids in
like
the
that, because I
neighborhood.
know there's not a was it really random kids in the neighborhood?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We just were knocking on doors
picked 'em up
until
in a
some
white
parents were
van.
willing to let us do it.
Now, did you do the ice cream van trick? I hear that works pretty well.
Oh, that was next.
That was
Oh, you gonna tell them how you had to get the helicopter pilot and everything to agree?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that was actually a little green screen trick I did. That was a lot of
Okay.
editing.
All right. Yeah.
But
Talk about that.
It's literally a little toy helicopter, and I had to enhance the saturation and the contrast. It looked more crisp, and then I just put it in the background in the sky, and I gave it some motion so it drops down, and I added a spotlight. But that's how that happened.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah,
it's dark enough of a scene; it kind of hides the imperfections.
That's see right there. That's the trickery right there. That's the trickery. I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, going back to you know Zach, and when he was posting like the black and white images and blah blah blah, and that was always the thing. It was like, why is he posting things in black and white? It's like, well, you can hide a lot of things in black. That's why like more films should do the black and white thing, because you can hide some. That's why I always say Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's the most expensive indie movie ever made, because he literally like you're watching the Justice League, you're watching Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, this big crazy movie, and you can watch it literally in black and white, like in black and white, where it's like an indie film, and it's like, and it could hide any imperfections. It really, there's things that you can utilize to be like, just do this, lower the darkness right there, add shadow right here. You could really just do something like that. So kudos on you for like pulling something like that off. I mean, but like I said, I think my favorite shot was when the police car was chasing you. It was just like a really cool, there was like a cool, you got the headlights, you got the lights behind you, and you're running, and it's just a shadow of you. And I was like, all right, I think that might be my favorite shot of the whole movie.
Yeah, that was cool, because I remember when we were filming that, I told Dima what I wanted it to look like, and he set it up, and it looked exactly how I wanted. So it was one of those cool moments where it just worked out right and
just clicked.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shots too. It's cool.
Now, what's your process of kind of like pre-production, in the sense of like, do you do the storyboards? Do you do kind of like a rough kind of sketch out of how each scene plays out?
Yeah, most of the movie I did draw. I actually went to college for storyboarding, and I didn't graduate, but it was my primary focus. And I pretty much had a teacher telling me, like, you're not gonna have a career in this, dude. You need to figure something else out. Because I'm not the best.
From someone coming from education, man, that hurts me at that point, that someone would have the audacity just to crush someone's dreams like that. Jeez.
Well, he was better at drawing than me, and he majored in storyboarding, and he was doing all these odd end jobs to try to pay the mortgage, So he was just kind of giving me a real insight into like, it's going to be tough to just make it as a storyboard artist. So I didn't pursue it. I backed out, but thankfully I kind of learned how you're supposed to do it. And, you don't have to draw every individual scene out and all the movements and everything, but it definitely helped me organize my thoughts. And then I bring them to Dima. We had a big whiteboard before we lost our office, unfortunately, but we just whiteboarded the whole movie out like Christopher Nolan style. And
nice.
It was a lot of fun because, this movie's presented in a linear fashion, but it's really bouncing all over the place, which is my favorite part about it. Because I think it's cool to have a movie that's not really, in a linear fashion, like Memento.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite movies. Love that.
So,
yeah, and I noticed
I told Dima we were whiteboarding it out, and he knew what that meant.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's
but that's
something
pretty
about
much the pre-production.
Yeah.
And we also did some costume stuff. Sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. No, I just say there's something about like the non-linear like type of storytelling, that I just, I love that. I love it when it kind of bounces like that, because even when I was watching yours, I was like, wait a minute. It's like you kind of start going, well, wait a minute, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that kind of storytelling, because I think it's just, like I said, Memento is one of my favorite all-time movies. It's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie to date. I mean, he's made, sure, the movies have been better and they've been, but there's just something about that movie that was like, how I remember when I didn't see it in the theater, but I heard about it. I'm like, a movie that's told backwards? That doesn't even make sense. And then when I watched it, I went, oh, fucking hell, this makes a lot of sense. And, to this day, it's like, it's hard to even go like, how do you even achieve something like that? Because it works so well with the story. It works so well with the character, so just brilliant storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know how he did that, because just the little bit of back and forth we did, I remember we'd have the whiteboard like completely full and then go and just start erasing crap and trying to figure out like how it connected. And it's a headache.
I will not lie that there was times where I was like, wait a minute. I was like, it even like threw me for a loop. I was like, oh, okay. Because I was like going, is that, there's like different, different kind of clothing, and stuff like that. I went like, it threw me off, and I'm like, is there two? Kind of thing. I was like, so you guys did a good job, because you threw me off. You threw me off when it came to that.
Yeah, there's a little foreshadowing in the intro when Steven is walking the streets. He passes two balloons, one's yellow, one's red, and you've got a red mime and you've got a yellow one. So there's two. Yeah.
Okay. See, the thing is like, it's like I had to watch it twice, and that's a good thing. Cool. Yes, I watched it twice because it was one of those where it's like, and I'll even watch it again after talking with you guys. That's just how much I enjoyed this film, because I even said that to Travis and the Geekverse guys, because their story is very long, not linear. So I watched it twice too, and I'm like, that's when it comes to good storytelling, you do want the audience to be like, wait a minute, I got to go back, because now that I know like how this all concludes and how this all plays out, and I think I'm grasping the concept here, I want to go back. So, to tell a good story like that, and then to get people to go back and be like, all right, now I want to watch it again, to watch it with a new pair of eyes, kind of thing. And so good job.
Yeah, I just keep telling people, like, you can't just watch it once.
No, you can't.
Watch it more than once and just focus on something else each time after that, because you're going to see something you didn't notice before.
Exactly. It's just
there's a lot of little Easter eggs. And when you see the next movie, which is called JJ Sundry,
you heard it here first, folks. Exclusive.
It'll kind of connect some dots for what's happening in Mary Decroux.
Okay.
Because our idea is, when we make our third movie, which actually stars Jordan, all three movies will just be it's a circle. You can start one movie and watch the other two in whatever order, and it'll all make sense no matter what you do. So
I like it.
You could start with JJ Sundry, watch Mary Decroux and his movie, or whatever you want to do. It's going to complete in the end, no matter what. So
I'm intrigued. Chris, are you intrigued?
I mean, like I said, everything I was hearing prior to the stream at that point, I was just like, even the trailer I saw, I was like, yeah, I'm down. I'm always want to see something that will challenge even my movie taste and things like that. Something that, I am not one to judge something necessarily without seeing it first. It may not be my tempo necessarily in the end, but your trailer definitely said, no, this is something that's up my alley. I'm very excited to see it this weekend.
I'm really happy to hear that, because I didn't have confidence in my trailer making ability.
But
trailer work.
But again, it's one of these things, and I've said it here on the Vodka stream. Like, you can't like make someone have expectations that, okay, it's your short film. It's like, I'm not expecting a studio backed project at that point. So there's certain things I have to ease back from, in the sense of, it's not going to have this, it's not going to have that. So, even I have expectations of, okay, this is what they've talked about, this is what they do. So hearing kind of your all backstory helps me even appreciate it more, and going into it and understanding it. It doesn't ruin the experience at all. It actually enhances it for me, because I'm the kind of person for any kind of, I'm all about the behind the scenes stuff. I want to hear all the stories. I want to hear how the sausage is made at that point. It doesn't ruin it. It gives me, to your point, it allows me saying, oh, now that I know this, I want to see this again so that I can better understand it.
Yeah, see, and that's why I was asking those technical questions. It's not so much that I'm like start to pick on to start picking into the story. I'm more like, Jesus Christ, you pulled that off. That's why I was so obsessed with, like, you got a cop at a cop car. How did you do that? Like, that was like so.
Well, we committed
amazing.
A crime, and so we rolled the dice on that one.
And you got rain. How did you make it? That had to be a weather. I mean, it was just like the technical stuff, because I'm putting my brain into your brain of like, there's no like not a lot of budget here, and you have to just fucking try to do what you know. So like, yeah, that's the way I like, anytime that, you know, when I've had people on that have their short films, I don't start going like, well, you could, you know, I'm not nitpicking like, this could have been better. No, I'm like, I understand that this is very difficult to do, and you guys, and what everybody's doing with such a limited budget and resources, that when I see something really cool, I'm going, how the fuck did you do that? You know?
And that's what's even more in sense of like, look at all the studios that have all the money and all the VFX and stuff like that. Like it becomes even more like you say, wow, how did you do that at that point? And then and it doesn't even ruin the magic,
no.
You know, revealing the trick at that point. It's like, oh, wow, you can do that with that? That's really interesting. Never thought about it like that. I mean, we joke, but like, how many things are created with a simple iPhone these days that look like it's a studio movie? Like, there's so much that you can do, and you just don't even think about it. So my hat's off to you. I'm not that creative in that sense to ever can do a short film. So my hat's off to you for even putting it out there. Just putting your passion out there, and not only that, saying, no, we're doing more because this isn't the end for us. We want to continue the story at that point. So, you know, keep doing it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think all three of us can say that we love doing this. So even if everyone was like, "Oh, that's terrible," we still do it. You know, put it out there.
Was there what was the most difficult shot? Was it the helicopter thing? Was it what was the most difficult shot that you guys had to pull off? Or you guys have different.
Well, so the guitar scene was difficult because
really
the guitar player is our friend Ryan.
Yeah,
and he's actually been in some other stuff that we've done just, you know, for fun. But his guitar is very nice and expensive, and I had to make it look like I'm stomping on it. Not only that, I had to make it look like it fell when I stab him. So literally my hand was holding, I had to film that because I knew how I wanted it to look, and I was being picky about it. I had to hold the bass of the guitar, and I knocked it over, and I'm holding the camera, and I kind of guide it with my hand so it falls very slowly. And then in editing, I just sped it up so it looks like it falls. The whole time he's over there like biting his nails, like, I'm worried I'm gonna break his guitar. Yeah, and then when I was pretending to stomp on it, he was really freaking out.
Man.
And I was like, please don't let my foot accidentally hit this guitar because it's gonna be bad.
I'd probably have to say the hardest part to film for me was the cop chasing scene.
Yeah.
Just because there were times where I was running behind them, and I'm like shaking, and I'm like, we need to redo this. I look like I'm having, you know,
a seizure,
crazy, a seizure or something, holding this camera. So we'd have to retake it a few different times just for me to figure out how to run but stay smooth.
Yeah, originally, because I have a body cam. We were going to film it like an episode of Cops. So like he's in the cruiser, which we put that in the movie, and I just edited it normal. But originally it was going to look like shaky cam and like kind of staticky. And then it was going to cut to the body cam chasing me into the woods. But I really liked how it just all looked like the rest of the movie, and I didn't want to change it. But it was funny making him get out of the cruiser with our friend and then chase him like he's following behind him and running. And then I'd review and be like, dude, can you not shake the camera so much? But he's trying to run with it.
Well, I was in the back seat, obviously, and you can't get out from the back seat in the back of a cruiser. So I had to stick my hand out of the window, open the door, close the door, and at the same time hold the camera still and run after them.
Jeez.
He
Oh
put some work
man.
in.
Yeah. The work of a cameraman. Gotta love that. Hey, we got Phil joining in right now too. Adding to the panel. Phil, is he awake? He might not be. He's watching your movie right now. That's what's happening.
Oh, there he is. Damn it. I was doing something. I'm upsetting something on my phone. I'm sorry, guys. How's it going, everybody?
Yay.
He's back. He's here.
I am back.
He's back. He's here.
So
Now
I
just
have
talk-
I
Okay.
have the movie pulled up on YouTube. I will watch it after we're done talking here. Because that's
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. That's the what's the word I want to use here? That's the unfortunate part about not being on Twitter. I don't see any of this stuff. I'm purely on Threads and Instagram, and that's pretty much it. So I stepped away from Twitter, which I'm not trying to assume, but I imagine is that where some of the promotion happened for this?
Yeah.
Mainly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, check it out. You'll enjoy it, Phil. Like it's they did a great job, and like I said, I mean, you're gonna probably like what we're talking about right now. It's just like you're gonna be impressed on someone like, oh wow, how did they do that with what? This is what it's like one of those. So
Well,
and
I
apparently-
appreciated the storytelling conversation that was happening just a bit ago. I mean, I play games, I watch movies, I watch television for a lot of the technical aspects, but more or less, if you have a good story to tell, then you've got a good story to tell. And if your guys if you can watch all three your guys' movies that you're planning in any order, then that's a feat unto itself. I don't think there are any movies that you could say do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's an interesting idea to play with.
That's
Yeah, it's a
we
cool
only had this idea
for
for the
mythology.
movie at first, and then we decided it'd be cool to like have more movies, and no matter what order you start. And there was a show on Netflix, I think Kaleidoscope or something, that had a similar idea. Like whatever episode you start, you can watch another episode, and that definitely inspired the idea. But we were like, I don't think a movie's done that before, so
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
We like
so
standing
it's kind of
out.
what led into that whole idea.
Yeah, I mean, even like there's some like if you think about like what M. Night Shyamalan did, like when it came to Split, where you kind of go like when you get that surprise ending of like, oh, I will never forget freaking out in the movie theater at the end of Split. That when Bruce Willis's character, I forget what his name is in Unbroken, not Unbreakable,
Unbreakable, yeah.
Where when he just shows up and then you realize it's like, oh my god, it's tied to this world. I remember just like freaking out, going, "Oh, holy shit!" I remember like shot out of my chair.
I remember people were kind of theorizing that it might be in the same world like before the movie came out. So it was cool.
That.
Oh, I saw some people online saying that, and when I watched in the theaters, I was like, he did it. That's cool. That's really cool ending.
I was freaking out, and I remember like I was sitting next to my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, "What?" Because she hadn't seen it, and nobody in the theaters. I literally shot out of my chair. I was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, and people were looking at me like, what the fuck is this guy freaking out of? I was freaking out like it was a post-credit scene in a Marvel movie. I was freaking out like, oh my god, it's fucking Thanos' brother. I was doing that whole shit. I was like, but for a M. Night Shyamalan movie, I mean, I was, oh man, that sealed it. But just to like have that connection with stuff, and of course what you guys do in here with how you set up the next character that we're gonna see it, I was like, it was interesting. I was like, okay, it's done. And then I went, wait a minute. I was looking at the timer. I was like, no, it's not. And then when you started showing some things, and I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden, okay, there's more to be had here. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, and Split's actually an interesting movie because that inspired J.J. Sundry pretty directly, honestly. He, like I said, he's got alternate versions of himself, and the timelines get so eerily similar it causes a friction. And it's like his one body has other versions of himself inhabiting it. So Some of them are from different time periods, or they might be a serial killer or a doctor. You don't know, so it's pretty cool.
Just don't know. You just don't know now. But good job, guys, and looking forward to when have you. Okay, so when it comes to the next one, do you have a script already?
Yeah, we were just filming yesterday.
Okay, so you're already filming it. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We actually started filming it while filming Marry Decroux. So we were trying to be super extra productive.
You have to be.
But
I mean, if you're already we're
trying to get this movie out by the end of the year. So
are you?
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. 2 movies in a year. Look at you.
I've already got the
Warner Brothers
made. But yeah, I've got the hard parts kind of done. The score's written, the color palettes are made. We just got to film. So
whoa, look at you. So that's what's cool. It's like the way things that you learned from the first one, you're already like now you could transition that into the next one where you go, okay, we know exactly how to pull this off, and now it's going to be a little bit easier, hopefully.
The second end credit scene after the tease for his movie. Well, that wasn't originally in the movie. Like the ending of the movie was the ending of the movie, and we were going to tease the next movie. But I decided it'd be cool to like kind of show what my character is becoming.
Mm-hmm.
So that was filmed, edited, and I wrote the music for that in 3 days.
Holy
and I
shit.
added it to the end of the movie. Yeah. So
good job. Yeah,
it was tough because I was by myself. That's why all the camera shots are steady because I just had it on a tripod and I was
okay, that makes sense. I just thought it was that's how you stylized it. You wanted to stylize it like that, but no.
I wish I had Dima, but I mean, it was a cool surprise for him because when we had our watch party and they saw that, they were like, "Whoa, what was that?" They had no idea, so it was cool.
Interesting, but it adds a stylistic aspect to it because I was like, oh. There's not movement here, but hey, it worked. It worked for it.
Yeah, so anyway. I would say making the movie definitely helped me learn how to do it in a more productive manner. And I'm going to use a lot of the color palettes I use in Marry Decroux, so that's kind of a cheat, but it works.
No, keep the tone. Keep the tone when it comes to all that. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, this was, having the first movie and knowing that, it's like now when you take it to the next one, it's like it's going to be an easier process, hopefully, and it's just going to be like you got to streamline it and be like, and especially if you're making 3 movies, you want to keep that similar tone and everything. Of course, you could try different things in the process, but to keep that same tone, where essentially, guys. If you're going to have 3 short films that are 40, 45 minutes long, you can have like a movie a full-on movie at the end of this, and just even shape it where you can do like this crazy fuckery thing and start submitting it to film festivals and shit like that. I don't know.
That was my next question. Are you interested in doing that with this or future films?
Yes. We were actually on the fence with this because we just wanted to put this out in the world, right? Like we made something, we're proud of it. We just want to put it out there. But a lot of the film festivals require that you don't do that.
Really?
So yeah. And that's why Travis and those guys, they had their movie out for a weekend or whatever, and you could rent it, but then they had to lock it down for film festivals.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was the case.
And I was bummed because I didn't get to watch their movie. And I found out they did that, and that's why they did it. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I have to wait until it's done the festival run to watch it. But it's a whole thing. Kind of sucks.
That's weird. Wow, I didn't know it was like that. You'd think that it wouldn't be like that in the world we live in now when it comes to like digital and stuff like that. But at the same time, I mean. There can be, like I said, if you're doing 3 movies and you can combine them all in some way and, with editing them, and they all kind of just fit together, you can have essentially a full length movie on your hands.
Yeah. And I definitely would like to submit to a film festival for JJ Sundry. So I'm kind of hoping enough people watch Marry Decroux and they get interested to where if we released it for a weekend like those guys did, it'd get some views, and then we could send it to the film festivals and let it do its thing. That'd be really cool.
Would be. Definitely would be. But yeah, good job, guys. Appreciate that. Appreciate what you guys are doing for sure. And yeah, definitely looking forward to what you guys have to offer in the future. Like I said, I mean, you get a tease with the next movie, and like I said, with the shot with the light switch, I was like, geez, I mean, you have to really think about that one, because I mean, we got Dimitri over here with like a beard, no beard, no. It's like, yeah, you can't exactly do that and be like, oh shit, we fucked up on one end. Well, we got to wait like a month or 2 months for you to grow that beard again. I mean, it's risky. It's risky. But I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I was like, that's him, because you look so different with the beard, dude. You do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I drop about 10 years when I shave.
Yeah, it is crazy because, like, I mean, you do. I think when you came on last time, you had a little bit of a beard. Did you? Have a little?
Yes.
Yeah, you had you didn't have like the big beard like you have in the movie.
It was cleaned up more a year ago.
Yeah, it was a little more. A little more groomed, but in this you have like, I mean, you can grow some facial hair, man.
Yeah,
those
specialty
Russian genes.
Yeah, it's that's what it is, the Russian genes. But yeah, good stuff, man.
Dave, I'll give you a little Easter egg, I guess, because you've seen the movie. So that scene with the light switches, I would pay attention to the scene with the old man in the hallway next time.
Okay. I don't want to spoil it for anybody though, because
yeah.
I mean, okay, but I know exactly what you're talking about, because I squinted my eyes when he walks out of in there. You see some. Okay.
Now I just got I just have to understand this.
Dude,
so at that point, now I'm looking for the old man. All right, I'm looking for the old man.
I have zero context, but I'll just look for the old man now.
Yeah, dude, I just got fucking goosebumps. I just got goosebumps. And I'm not gonna lie, my fucking dude. Because I totally forgot about, like, remember with the old man, I went, wait, what the fuck? I literally said, what the fuck? Because I saw something and I went, huh, is that going to play? What the fuck? So, but I didn't know what it meant. But now that you just said that, I went, oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. God damn, your movie's good.
I
like your movie a lot. I do. I really do.
Appreciate that. It seriously means a lot. And I can't say enough, Dave. Thank you so much for letting us come on here and pretty much promote our stuff. It's the coolest thing ever. It really is.
No, dude, it's great. No, like, God damn, you just added another level to it, because I was like, wait. And I was like, I don't know. Was I seeing things? Okay. So now that you said that, that is definitely an Easter egg. Holy shit.
Before I finalized the film, I had Dima come over to my house and I showed him like an early version of the movie, and that was in there. And he was watching it and he was like, wait, pause it. And he made me rewind, and he was like, oh, wow. Like I didn't know if he's going to catch it or not, and he did. So it was cool because I didn't tell him I was going to do that. I just kind of threw it in there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you guys watch the movie. When it comes to the old man, there's something that, like, you kind of go like, huh? It's going to pay off, because I went, huh? And then I didn't know exactly what it was until we just had this conversation. And I went, oh, okay. So yeah, just there's a little bit of something there where you kind of go like, there's something. Okay. Something very, oh, wow. Okay. Now I'm very much looking forward to the next one. Oh man, good job. That just blew my mind. Totally just blew my mind right now, because I thought I was tripping. I was like, wait, was that like something, or is that like
that was us? It's sprinkling in the little bit of mess of the whiteboard we've been telling you about. That's one of the little branches.
God damn, I thought it was something that you guys messed up. I'm not gonna lie. I thought there was like a light. There was a light somewhere that shouldn't have been on, and maybe Wow. Okay, dude, you guys just brought it up to another level with that. I love that. Wow. Cool. So, guys, the old man, pay attention. Pay attention. There's something that is in there. It's not a mess up. It's not, your eyes are not tripping, because that's what I thought. No. That's really cool. I love it.
Yeah. And something that was really hard to pull off, and Dima did a good job with this. In that scene, you'll notice the lighting or the exposure goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
That was intentional because we wanted the switch, to look like it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
God. Good stuff, man. God damn.
Yeah.
Let's just watch it right now. Again, I'm just kidding. No, but no, yeah, check it out, guys.
Watch it. Let's watch it.
You know, 40 minutes. Let's just have a live watch right now. No. Yeah. I mean, we could, but but I don't know. We just sit here and
Would you not get hit with a copyright or anything like that? Because
no, because it's their movie.
Okay.
No. Unless they want to copyright me.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I would know. But but like I said, everybody watch it on their own behalf, and just fucking check it out. The link is pinned in the super chat. So give it a watch, give it a like, give it a share, do all that, please, because it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. And I'm, especially with the way that everything's right now with the film industry. I mean, Jesus Christ, when you just see stuff like, hey, let's just watch passionate people that just want to do things. And I miss doing that stuff. Like I said, when I was in my younger days, before online everything, and when that was just becoming a thing, it's just now that you can actually just put it on YouTube, especially when you can just create something and things can be affordable. Yes, it's not, the resources are not going to be there, but at the same time, it's problem solving. Like, how do we pull this off with a limited budget, with just us? How can we do this? And hopefully, you get as many eyes on it as possible. I mean, I don't know how many times I compare to just, because I listen to a lot of stand-up comedy podcasts and just love stand-up comedy. That's kind of what stand-up comedy turned into in the past few years too, was a lot of people just decided okay, so I have this hour of stand-up comedy. None of the, no Netflix or any, nobody's wanting to buy my hour, or at least supply me with the fundage to where I could put it out somewhere. So a lot of stand-up comedians are just putting it on YouTube, so then they could just get it out there. And that's just been the thing. And I think when it comes to just independent filmmaking, that's kind of starting to be a thing too, where it's just put it out there. As long as you are just creating everything yourself, and there's nothing where it's going to ding you on copyright or anything like that. Like you said, you made all the music. There's nothing in there that's going to be it's not like you were wearing a big, huge, Adidas shirt or something like that, where you're going to get some kind of branding thing. It's you didn't have a Batman shirt on or anything. You're good. So I think it's just going to be a thing where nowadays it's with Hollywood, where it's at, where it's still bad. It's still bad. I mean, I talk to people in that world. They're like, oh yeah, it's really bad. It's still bad. I was talking to a couple of people about it, and it's it's still bad. And jobs are just being, just cut, or, just not as many films are being made. And so it's all right, we're going to get to a point where we're just going to be looking for stuff like this, to be honest. It's and like I said, if you're going to make this whole huge trilogy thing where it can be almost like a full-fledged, film, I think people are going to gravitate to it. Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be cool.
That's one thing I like about this film is nobody's doing a 3-part with their short films. Usually it's a one and done, from what I've seen at least. And that I feel like that's kind of where we stand out in one regards, and which is what our goal has always been, is how do we stand out? How do we make something that hasn't been made or hasn't been done in the past?
Which is difficult to do.
Yes, very.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I mean, one of the things about like, I mean, obviously we always talk about like a cinematic universe, which Marvel did not invent, you know, as much as people like to say that they invented. I'm like, nah, I was watching Kevin Smith movies and that was all tied together. You know, like he did a good job with like doing that. You know, I always said like, I was like, Kevin Smith already had like a cinematic universe going already before all the View Askew verse is what he called.
He did it first.
View universe. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just like, it's just kind of fun to just do, you know, and then when you watch like, because I felt I didn't watch Clerks until I watched Mallrats was my first introduction to Kevin Smith, and I just loved that movie because it was just like it was on, you know, I think it was on Stars. Stars is still a channel, I believe, too, right? And I remember just watching. We had Stars, and I was like, when that movie came on, and I watched it, I just fell in love with it because it was right up my alley. It was about just fucking, you know, rejects that are just, you know, especially Brody, the Brody character, Jason Lee. I just loved. I loved him because he was like, he was me. He was totally me. Like I just totally was like, that is me right there because I'm like the guy that's like sarcastic, you know, and just says shit, whatever. Me? What are you talking about? No. Even back then in the 90s, yeah, I was still like that. And I was like comic books, movies. I'm like, this guy, I get this guy, you know? So it was just like, it resonated. And then the dialogue was so good. And just the references, I got all the references. I was like, what the hell? He's talking about, you know, Superman impregnating Lois. And that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense, you know, because Jesus Christ, you know, that whole thing about when he talks about like Superman, like, yeah, there's no way that Lois Lane could have his kid. You know, it's like if she gets a tan, the kid would kick right through her stomach. It's like, you know, and only Wonder Woman could, you know, like could
some of the effect of like Superman would shotgun a load through her back or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like one of the best like things ever because it was so raunchy and it was like something you never thought about. You know, it was something you just never think about when it's like, oh yeah. How do they pull that off? We just assume like, oh yeah, it could just be the case. Hey, yeah, Superman and Lois.
I'm the weird one on the panel. My first Kevin Smith was Chasing Amy. I'm weird, but
you know what? Chasing Amy also great.
Yeah,
Chasing Amy
heralded is like his best film, I think.
Yeah,
of that universe, I should say. But yeah,
I think people say that because it was a dramatic role, more of a dramatic role than anything, and there was not Jay and Silent Bob peppered through the whole thing. Jay and Silent Bob show up at the end.
Yeah, right where there needed to be. Exactly. Yeah, right where they
exactly. And it was a great scene because Silent Bob just goes off and starts fucking talking about chasing Amy. He starts saying chasing Amy, and then he starts explaining the whole story. And it's Kevin Smith, of course, and it's like it's perfect because it's literally the writer and director of the story just explaining why is this called Chasing Amy, but she's not Amy. There's no reason, like it's confusing, but then it makes sense because then we get this character who is who's been in 2 previous movies before in this universe that's created that is explaining that very thing, and it works. And like I said, I mean, this was Ben Affleck before the height of his powers. I mean, I remember hearing that Ben Affleck was sleeping on Kevin Smith's couch during this whole thing. This was pre-Armageddon,
pre-Phantoms.
Pre-Phantoms. Yes. I mean, Good Will Hunting was like in the same time period, but of course that hadn't been like the big thing quite yet. But I mean, I remember there's actually a shot because I listened to the commentary because I love listening to commentaries of movies. But I remember listening to the commentary where there's literally a close-up shot that they shot later, and it was Armageddon. Yeah, I mean, he like Kevin Smith said this is Armageddon Ben Affleck, and somehow I mean he still had the hair, but he lost weight, so he was slimmer because in Armageddon he fucking trimmed up and got kind of ripped. But so it's if you watch it. It's noticeably like when you get a close up, like you get a coverage shot of him. It's when he finds out that that her name is Alyssa, right? In the movie, yes,
I think so. Yeah.
When he finds out she's a lesbian, and so you're getting his reaction shot. Apparently, they didn't get it, or it wasn't a good shot, so they had to like reshoot that shot. And this was before he went into Armageddon. He's noticeably slimmer even though it's him, it's like it's a funny thing, and it's like, again, I love that kind of stuff because you wouldn't notice that unless the director pointed that out. You know.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Chasing Amy though, yeah, a lot of people, and then of course he got bigger budgets, got a little bit more zany, but I love all that. I mean, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I mean, that was like the Avengers of the whole thing. When you literally have like Jason Lee and Ben Affleck playing like multiple characters because they were all through this whole thing, and it's just I don't know. It was great. Jay and Silent Bob the reboot, not as good, but still fun. Was it the reboot? It was called the reboot, right?
Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Yeah. It was fun. I mean, I like I'm glad that they both showed back up. Jason Lee was in there, right? Yeah. Yeah. But it wasn't as, and I like the what Ben Affleck, his little monologue that he had to say, and then of course he made a little jab at some of the haters when it came to his Batman. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that was nice because that was right around the time when they had finally reconciled, both Kevin and Ben for the past. So
they had a little clash. Yeah.
And Kevin talked too much and Ben didn't like that. And so, but I'm glad because you could tell that was the reconciliation there. It was, I like when, that's what I really appreciate about Kevin Smith movies. Even the, Jay and Silent Bob, you'll have those moments where it's just like, dang, you really do know how to write good, heart pulling stuff.
Exactly. But Jordan, I know you got to go. You have to work tomorrow.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's great talking to you. And looking forward to seeing, more of what's going to happen with you guys and, more of your work.
All right. Thanks. See you.
All right.
See you,
Take it easy, Jordan.
Later.
All right. And we have somebody to fill a spot. We have Axel right here, all the way from the land down under.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, Axel.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Check your microphone. Check your microphone. Yeah, I think you might not have the microphone. Is the microphone setting on StreamYard? Check it because it sounded like you might. You might not be on your microphone.
Yeah, it might default to your laptop.
Yeah. Double check that, but thank you for.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay. Is it working? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that movie that you guys have been doing, I'm gonna give that a watch tonight.
Yeah. Totally watch it. And Axel, he made his Robin film, which we went over a few weeks ago, and I mean, there's just again, I'm a sucker for anybody who tries to do something. I mean, it's not easy, and again, it's like there's liberties that you have to take where it's like, it's not going to be perfect, but at the same time, I always appreciate, hey, you tried to do this thing, and there's certain shots, like even in Axel's movie, there's shots where I'm like, oh yeah, good job with that one. That's a good shot. That's a cool shot. That's the way that you pulled that off. I mean, there's just shit that you have to just be like, hey, let's try.
This one?
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't seen it yet, but I remember when he was on before and he had that shot of the battering. It's badass.
That was my favorite shot of his.
Yeah. I'll send a link through onto the private chat.
Yeah, please do. I want to check it out. You've got my admiration because I could never tackle someone else's IP. That's a responsibility that I am too lazy to even try to do. So
that's the thing. It's like when you're handling, like, especially when it comes to comic books, it's like we all have our like ideas when it comes to a story. When it comes to that,
Yep.
But to try to achieve something like that,
you try to make it your own, like some famous director did. You get a lot of backlash.
This is true. This is very true.
What? Wait. You can't be creative.
What?
You can't have it.
Wait. You can't deconstruct the characters a little. What?
Wait a minute. What do comic books do? Like with different creative teams get on there?
Are you saying?
I'm sorry.
After 70 or 80 years, you can't make anything different. Oh, that's insane.
That's why Batman still has purple gloves and has a gun.
Right.
That's why Superman can't fly yet.
Only leap buildings in a single bound.
Yeah.
Yeah, Axel, I didn't know your movie was out. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, sweet. Cheers, man.
I've been busy editing this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I've been
I'm
busy
sure.
with this, and I've like been disconnected from what's going on. So I got
How
some
long
free
did you
time
work
now.
on your
I'll check it
movie
out.
for? Yeah. How long did you
Sorry?
work on your movie? How long did you work
so
on your movie for?
2 years. And
Oh, wow,
editing
okay.
and putting it together was like 3 months total.
Oh,
So,
okay. Wow. Damn.
yeah.
That's a lot.
But
give it a watch.
got my day job and family and all that. So
See, that's another thing that you have to take
Yep.
it apart is like the fact that we're not doing this for a living. I mean, it'd be nice to do it for a living. Sure, it'd be nice.
yeah.
Like I started filming my movie when I was in school, and like at the end of school, and then uni happened, as in university. I don't know if that's an American term, but also like it's just, but like also it's just fuck. It was just a nightmare to get because most of my friends went to like different countries, and yeah, it was just real pain to get everyone together.
I mean, like what I was even saying, like when I was talking about the poker movie that I made, I remember one specific thing was it was like my friend's girlfriend's friend who was an aspiring actress, and I wanted I was like, I don't want it just to be all dudes. I need a female in this table.
For sure.
And I wrote a character. I was like, I have this character. I'm like, I want a female character. It's like, it just can't be just a fucking sausage fest. I just wanted one, and I'm like, okay. And then she was like, he was like, oh yeah, she knows this girl, and she was great. Like she showed up to the first night of shooting where we shot majority of the whole thing, because luckily it was just like, it's just at the poker table. It's just like this, but at the same time, it was like, because everybody, it's basically the way that the movie goes is we're trying to figure out the connection of why everybody's here kind of thing. And I'm kind of like lead guy, like shepherding this whole poker game. One of these days I'm going to put it on my fucking channel. But the sad thing is I used a lot of copyrighted music because this is before, all this stuff. So maybe, I don't know, I'm going to have to try to do something where maybe I can not have all that stuff, because I chose a lot of just copyrighted music because it all fit. Anyways, but she was not supposed to be, out of the game first. But the fact is, we couldn't get her back the second night. So I was like, all right, well, I got to redo this, and I got to re-edit it where it's like, okay, she goes all, because the movie's called All In. If anybody knows poker, that's just the term of putting all your chips in, and then, so she wasn't supposed to get out first. It was supposed to be another character, but then we couldn't get her back because I think she realized, oh, wow, I thought this was going to be a real production and realized it was not that. So I was like, okay, luckily I shot enough of her stuff where I was like, okay, I can tweak it where she gets, out first. So yeah, it's just
was the dead giveaway no craft services?
Yeah, probably. And the fact that I was had this just little handheld fucking HD camera, hey, here's our camera. We have no microphones. I mean, it was very, very, very low budget. There was no microphones, no nothing. It was just kind of but I don't know. It still turned out pretty well.
I had a similar experience because when in my movie when Tim, played by me, meets Barbara, Nightwing was meant to be there, but my cousin who plays Nightwing was in fucking New Jersey for college or something.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know, right? How dare he have a life? But also it's so I had to rework that entire scene, change all the dialogue, it was I don't know. I really wanted that moment, but hey, I'm happy with what I got. And hey, beggars can't be choosers.
I mean, yeah, you gotta do whatever you gotta do when it comes to all this stuff. But I mean, but speaking of, okay, we're gonna go into some movie talk here. Speaking of, that certain director that does things, Did we all see the fact about the new title that's going to be Rebel Moon Part
Did.
1?
Yep.
Yes.
How are we feeling about that title? Did you guys see it, Kyle, Dimitri? Did you? I mean, I don't know if you. I mean, Rebel Moon. I don't know how much you're liking it, but you know,
I've rage tweeted about it for days on end, so you know, I just can't sleep at night.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the new title yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, the title obviously for the first one was Child of Fire, but this one's going to be called Chalice of Blood.
Yep.
The director's
Of what?
cut of Part 1, Chalice of Blood. Yeah.
He's just
So
going for
It's a
it.
family outing.
Yeah. Family.
Yeah,
totally.
Family
totally. Yeah. Child of Fire. That sounds like an album, like an album of a movie, like a Hey, Child of Fire. But this one's like this is like a fucking Slayer album that's like Chalice of Blood.
Perfect. Perfect.
I love that.
War ensemble.
I didn't even think about that. I'm like, yeah. I mean, now, I mean, again, I mean, I know like when it comes to the so Kyle, Dimitri, how did you guys feel about the Rebel Moon PG-13 cuts?
If I'm being honest, they're okay.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate the Zack Snyderisms because there's a lot, especially in Part 2. But I need the original intended version. I need it.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the first one.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good, especially being PG-13. Just the story itself left me honestly speechless. I think I called Kyle or sent him a video or something, and I was just like, "This is absolutely amazing." It was not what I expected. And then I haven't seen the second one yet. I just haven't had the time. But
yeah, check out the second one because it's interesting because there's like a mixed bag when it comes to that because it is what I always when I watched it, especially like the first time I was watching it, I was like, and even Zach, because I went to the screening over in LA and they did the Q&A after that, and Zach actually explained it exactly how I was like, okay, thank you. I was like, okay, me and you, man, me and you, because I was like, because it felt like it was the second half of it was like the second half of the second act into the third act. It didn't feel like there was the first act. It's like, yeah, there is that when it comes to certain things, but it's like the first act is like this, go, and then it just kind of goes to like, all right, we're back at the village, but guess what, guys? They're coming, so we have to train you, and we're gonna have a war. And it felt like it was like, all right, this feels like the end of the second act where they do the whole training montage and they do that stuff, and then we get the whole like the characters at the table admitting like doing their backstory, and I'm very curious to see like how much more in depth they go when it comes to director's cut, of course. But I mean, he even said that too. It's like, yeah, this is essentially just, it's like you kind of come back into like the end of a second act into the third act. It's not so much that it has the structure of first, second, and third act because it's supposed to be one giant movie kind of thing. You know, it's like, and I love that he said that because when I was watching, I was like, geez, it just feels like this is not even. Like, yeah, there is a first act, but it's really quick because it's all about Noble. We all know that he comes back, and it's like the Noble thing. It's like he just comes back, and that's the first act is just him just going, all right, he's back. Look at him, he's back, and blah blah blah. And now he's, we're doing this whole thing. But then when it comes to when you go back to the stories, it just doesn't feel like the same structure. So then when you get to the third act is like a 45-minute long fucking war sequence. And it's great. It's absolutely great. Yeah. But the fact that we got the title, and then of course I love how on that website that had the title, and who knows? It could be still Chalice of Blood. Sounds awesome. I like it. But at the same time, we're kind of wondering like, maybe was that a mistake or not, but I don't think it will be. But I love the fact that it gave like, oh, it's R-rated for, violence, gore, sexual content, and graphic nudity. It's like, yeah, we already knew this. I mean, Zach's been going like, yeah, you're not even ready for what I have for you for real.
Heavy metal.
Totally heavy metal.
Totally heavy
balls metal.
Heavy balls metal. But I mean, I know there's been a discourse out there. I know, Axel, you've had your concerns when it comes to all this. But at the same time, I wanted to ask you guys when it comes to the structure of, especially, making movies and stuff, do you like the fact that when it came to him going to Netflix with this, that they were like, okay, we'll give you yours if you give us ours. Like, you have to give us that PG-13 family-friendly version, and then you could do whatever the fuck you really want. Do you guys like that whole thing where it's like a kind of like, because before, anytime that he goes, all right, here's the movie, guys, and they go, no, you got to cut this down. You got to remove this, you got to remove that, you got to remove this, and then they release that, and then people are like, and then they go, well, I have another version, and they release that, and then people go, oh yeah. So then Netflix kind of went like, okay, we're gonna already have that built into the whole structure of this thing, where it's like, we're gonna have that, and then we're gonna have this, and we're gonna sell it like that. We're gonna have like 4 movies kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I would say, I get from a business standpoint why that sounds like a great idea, but I guess my best way to answer this is I wish I wasn't such a diehard Zack Snyder fan that I could have just held off and waited for the R-rated cuts. Because me personally, I feel like I'm just going through the grief of, past movies of his where it's had that treatment. Not intentionally, but it's like you watch a movie and you're like, okay, I can tell there's supposed to be something more here, and then I'm just sitting here waiting for it. So even though they intended for that, I still feel like I'm being robbed of something, which is weird, because they're promising it already. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm a fan of it, to be honest.
Okay, Dimitri?
Yeah, I agree with that. From a business standpoint, I can't say I blame them. If I was working for Netflix, I get it. They want to have a family be able to watch it. But at the same time, I feel like they should have just let him do exactly what he wanted and just release that. Yeah,
I mean, I get capitalizing on the whole Snyder cut as a idea, because that's become a whole thing in itself. So I get like looking at that and thinking, how can we really grow on that? And maybe it'll pay off. It'll be interesting to see what the views are like for the R-rated movies. Maybe it'll work.
I feel like the views.
I mean, it's gonna work for me, I guess. So I guess it is working. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing is like people. I mean, I remember when the first one came out, people were like, I'm not even excited for the second one. And then for like 2 or 3 weeks, everybody was talking about leading into that. I mean, with Zach doing interviews and everything. And it was, I had a fucking tweet that blew up because I went to the Q&A and he was like, oh yeah, he said it like, oh, it's like an alternate universe. And fucking, I was like, oh, this tweet might do well. I didn't think it was going to do that well. It like fucking blew up. And I was like, oh my God. And seeing everybody's reaction to it because, they just hate him so much. And they just have like this, they just see that and like, what are they? And I'm like going, yeah, this is part of the thing. It's like, at the same time, I'm like, I think most of these people who are like fucking hating this are just going to still be like, well, I got to see the R-rated to see what the hell he's, it's like a buildup. It is weird. Like it's a weird thing, but at the same time, it's like in order for him to get the movie that he wanted to put out, I mean, because even when it comes to some of his previous movies, I mean, we're still waiting for the Sucker Punch that he wanted to put. I mean, he's always been like, here's the movie, but then the studio is like, nope, we're not putting that out. And then he has to chop it down. So when you have a studio that actually is going, hey, we're going to give you whatever, what you want, even though apparently like at one point it was like an NC-17, but I think that, it's like, hey, get it to an R rating, hard R, buddy.
We tried
that. That's what I'm kind of wondering.
We tried that a few times. It's not gotten the discourse we wanted.
Yeah. Nope. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, Jesus Christ, there must be some serious fucking graphic nudity in this damn thing. But and even like what they've said and what I've heard from the novelization, because I haven't read it, it's just like, oh yeah, I mean, when we watch part 1 again, it's gonna be not the way at all that the part 1 PG-13 starts off at all. It's just like,
yeah, it has like a whole new beginning, right?
Whole new beginning, and one of the characters, we just get an entire going, oh, okay, that guy. Wow, there's way more to him than we thought there was going to be. It's like, because I know somebody, and we all know, who reads books on this fucking stream. Anyways, Scott,
nerd.
Yes, that fucking nerd. God damn it. But he told me, he was like, yeah, this is how it starts off. I'm like, that makes sense. Okay. So, and then even when I went to the Q&A, like Debbie was like, oh yeah, when you watch part 1, you're going to be like, it's not going to start off. So how it starts off, and then when it goes into stuff that you recognize, it's going to have a different tone. And I'm like, this is just going to be again, when it comes to even the Snyder Cut phenomenon, it's going to be studied, and this might not work. It might not work. Who knows? We'll see if it doesn't work. I'm all for it when I heard about it, and I'm a big supporter of Zach. He's a friend. I'm all about just be like, all right, if this is the thing, man, cool, let's do it. But it's going to be studied because there's something that's never been done with this before. And again, Netflix is getting essentially four Zack Snyder movies that are under $200 million to make all those 4 movies. They've spent way more on shittier movies. Mm-hmm. There's shitty movies on fucking Netflix where you go, what the fuck? They spent 200 and what on this?
That star, like pretty big stars. The Rock.
Oh, we're gonna get into that conversation soon. But yeah, gosh. You're right, Chris. It's like stuff like that. Yeah. And Zach was able to be like, all right, we're gonna be getting 4 essential movies. And again, we're also going to get to Twilight of the Gods. We're getting so much Zack Snyder content that I'm like, bring it. We had like a lack of Zack Snyder content for a bit, and now we're getting like all this Zack Snyder content. Like, I mean, we got at the end of last year, we're getting 3 essential. We already got Rebel Moon Part 2. I enjoyed it. Now we're going to get the director's cut, and then we're going to get Twilight of the Gods. We're just getting so much Zack Snyder content. I'm like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, hey, if he had to compromise, compromise. I'm using that word for at least PG-13. I know. Dare I say that word? Because I know, like, some people don't like it, but everybody compromises. But at the same time, I get what Zach was saying, and I know what he was saying. It was when it comes to certain things, people, not with everything, but it's certain things. Some things you have to compromise, some things you should not. That's what I think the message he was trying to say when it said no compromise when it comes to certain things. But sometimes you have, again, collaborative, what we were talking about earlier. When it comes to collaboration, sometimes you just have to do that. And if you can work with the studio, and I know Zach has done that many times, that's what you have to do. And maybe there is a compromise when it comes to there. But at the same time, when it comes to Rebel Moon, and the compromise that he had to do was like, okay, you have to bring a PG-13 cut. So I'm thinking like he just pulled all the punches. All right, I'll make that. I'll make that generic sci-fi movie that you guys want. I'll make that generic one where it's like, okay, there's this. I'll put some cool shit and have the generic story. And I'm sure that was like a challenge to him. But man, when we see this R-rated stuff, I'm just kind of going like, oh, graphic nudity. All right. Gore. All right. And I know somebody who saw like the full on trailer, Steven, let's face it, we already talked about it. But, Steven went to the Netflix thing and he saw the full on R-rated trailer and he was like, dude, it's like fucking 300 level violence. I'm like, there it is. Yeah. Blood splatters, kind of thing, we're slow motion, that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be insane. So
I think that Netflix is 100% in a complete opposite way that Warner Brothers was. Netflix is all in on the business of Zack Snyder. And what I mean by that is, if you go back to when he initially signed on with them, what was the first project he did with them? It was Army of the Dead. What is Army of the Dead? It is a full-blown, unchained Zack Snyder film through and through, R-rated, beautiful visuals, incredible story, awesome characters with character development littered throughout, but you also just get their hints of their past from the go, but then you go with them and how they kind of learn from their mistakes and what that ultimately leads to by the end of the movie, which kind of leaves you left wondering, well, what the fuck happens next? Then you get another movie, Army of the Thieves, which is kind of a prequel to Army of the Dead. And then, you know, in between all of that, by the time he was finishing up that, you know, he had the Snyder Cut come out, and those were arguably some of the like best received stuff he'd done in a long while after, you know, BBS and a couple other movies and whatnot. Then you get into Rebel Moon. I think also they like to cater to his creativity, but they also are now in where they know streaming is such a dominant force in the you know, movie going industry. I feel like they want to experiment, and I feel like that's a word I've thrown around a lot when it comes to this situation in particular, because as Dave pointed out, you know, they've got essentially four movies for a price tag of $166 million. If you look at any other sci-fi film being made within the last 5 years, the price tag at bare minimum is $200 million. And just the PG-13 versions alone, they make them, you know, I'm not going to say they look inferior, but it kind of pushes a boundary and sets a bar, visually speaking. You know, like it's up there with, I'm not going to say it surpasses Dune and what Denis Villeneuve did, because Denis Villeneuve is a whole other beast unto himself, but he's in that same conversation, I would say, personally. And I do think the R-rated cuts are going to even push that further. So do I understand the business of it? Might seem a little, you know, for us diehard fans of Zack Snyder and what we know he is fully capable of, is it a little hindering? Yeah, I suppose so. But at the same time, it's like, oh, if this is the appetizer, just wait until the full course meal gets rolled out. That is where shit is really going to hit.
And that's where I get, and where I have problems with critics and people that are hitting back. I'm all for everyone's opinion. Not your thing, not your tempo, so be it. I'm not gonna, you know, say you're a terrible person unless you're just a troll. But when you compare, I'm just going to use what you said, Phil. You weren't comparing it, but bringing up Dune Part 2 is like, oh well, Dune 2 was better. It's like, well, he wasn't trying to make Dune. He wasn't trying to make Dune Part 2. He was trying to tell a story that meant something to him. He wanted to tell. Zach's not trying to break new ground in the sense of the sci-fi genre. He's just trying to tell a story that he's trying to weave and begin at that point. And again, people build this, and again, it works to Zach's advantage, and sometimes it works to his disadvantage, where there is this aura about what he has brought to the table and what, you know, us included as being fans of his has created, that it becomes this expectation that for many, it's just never going to be met, or it's always going to be met. And it's a fascinating look at a director like that has that kind of ability where you get a lot of hate and you get a lot of love, and then the middle ground, there's not much.
You know, Chris, I'm going to take it a step further.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily. I agree with you that he's not trying to break new ground, but I'll take it a step further and say he's actually peeling back the layers of a sci-fi of a typical sci-fi film, you know, because he's
going deeper.
Yeah, right. Because what do sci-fi films typically do? Oh, they line up villains for the, you know, heroes to knock out one after the next in each respective film. What did he do with Noble? He brought him back in the first act of Part 2, straight up, right? That you don't really get to see that every day. Oh, we're following a character named Cora who's on this farming planet of Velt, and she's, you know, mysterious. Well, turns out her past is pretty fucking bloody, and it's probably going to be a lot more bloody in the R-rated cuts too, right? Like the beautiful thing about this is these aren't, you know, cookie cutter perfect characters. You know, this is not a Luke Skywalker. This is not a Han Solo, where, you know, you've got a lot of really great shining aspects to them, but they're a little rough around the edges in some respects. Oh, fuck no. These are relatable people. And I think that's the difference there, Whereas you have something different to akin of like, you know, a Paul Atreides who is literally from birth meant to be this Messiah-like character who's battling his own place within the confines of the universe. Oh, no. Korra is not that at all. She's not that. She's not a Luke Skywalker. She's a completely different person unto herself who's got her own baggage, but she's learned from that baggage and how to carry it forward to prevent said baggage from tearing another nation apart, or planet in this case. It's interesting.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's one of the things. Like, I mean, I think when it comes to the director's cuts, like, I think we're gonna see like, oh shit, wait, a sci-fi film's like this. I mean, I think when we get to the to that point, like, we're gonna be going, like, people are. There's gonna be a conversation. There's gonna be a lot of hate, of course, still. Because there just is, because people just see Zack Snyder's name and they just go, you know, they just start rolling up, you know. But I think like when it comes to the director's cuts, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just go like, holy shit, he did that. Like, so like what we saw right here, how did he? That's the thing. There's going to be a crazy comparison when it comes to like, wait, how did he? When it came to this movie, how did he pull? People are going to be impressed on how. This is what I'm hoping, that people are going to be so impressed on how he pulled off these PG-13 cuts out of what we see in the R-rated cuts. That's what I'm really hoping is like, wow, he somehow took this and just kind of just, you know, reformed it and was like, here you go. This is cotton candy for you and your kids. But then, you know, this over here is just like this crazy, like, you know, 4-course, you know, sushi meal or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It's going to be crazy to see the comparisons of the story and how much it is different and how much was changed and how much there is like when it comes to the more adult content to his movies. And I'm like, that's what I'm so fascinated. I mean, I remember when I went to the premiere of the first part and Steven was there and both of us were just kind of like, God damn, like we enjoyed that, but it was like, can you imagine what the R-rated cut's going to be like? Like, what does the R-rated cut look like when it comes to that movie? We were more interested in that than part 2 because we're just like wondering how much did he scale it down? You know, especially what Steven had already seen when it came to that R-rated full trailer that was shown to when he went to that Netflix thing over in LA. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, this might just be just a thing where like, it's going to be part of the thing where that's just why people are going to be studying Zack Snyder in film school. I mean, they are. They really are. They really are. But we got somebody else joining right now. We got Rhea right there taking a big swig out of her drink right there. Caught you at the right moment. Hydrating.
Yeah. No, totally. That's what I do.
Welcome, Rhea. How you doing? Oh, we're doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah, sorry I'm running late. I was finishing up work and I had some technical difficulties, but I'm glad I could join y'all.
You're wearing a Beavis and Butthead shirt.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope as fuck.
Yeah, that's my show, man. I really dig the Mike Judge presents Beavis and Butthead on Paramount Plus too. I think they did a good job sticking in the spirit of the show. So
that show is going to live on. Anybody else think that there's going to be a live action like with this?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Sure.
The Ryan Gosling sketch, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it took the world by storm. It was one of the best, like one of the funniest Saturday Night Live sketches that's been put out there when he was hosting. And then they're like, well, let's capitalize. Let's show up at the Fall Guy premiere dressed up as that too. And yeah, immediately, and I even said that on Film Junkie Live. I was like, yeah, when there's gonna be a fucking movie about this, right? They're just somebody's writing a movie. I'm wondering what Mike Judge even has to say about that. I mean, obviously he gave the go ahead, probably. He's not gonna be like, because I mean, obviously, I mean, we're supposed to be getting a King of the Hill. Yeah,
revival.
Revival that's coming out too. I mean, so why wouldn't he be okay with it? I mean, obviously it's like you created these iconic characters, so why not? And just to have somebody like Ryan Gosling like spearheading that shit, I mean, how could you not? I mean, and that's what's so great about Ryan Gosling. It's like, yeah, he's Ryan Gosling. He's, the fucking, he's this movie star. He's that, one of the hottest actors out there and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I just love the fact that he just leans into the comedic elements, and everybody should see Fall Guy. I'm just saying.
I agree.
One of the things that one of the things that I saw this week was a quote from him. I forget where the source was, but a clip of it was shared. And basically he was like, yeah, I want to, at this point in my life, I want to join projects or be a part of projects that I can watch with my family. And I was like, yeah, like La La Land, he cited that as like, one of the first ones that really like spearheaded that, career path for him. And certainly, with Barbie as well. So yeah. Oh, and then like Fall Guy and I forget what other future projects he's got going on, but yeah, like I don't know, what's y'all's take on that? Because I don't know if he's like pigeonholing himself because he's
I think he's leaning into that because I think part of the quote that you're talking about is he said, I get pitched these dark psychological characters and he passes on those. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. Because he doesn't want to get to that realm where you have to like get as an actor. I think eventually he'll get to that point. Right now, he's just riding a wave of, and it's a wave that, again, I don't know how many times I gotta be like, guys, anybody who hasn't watched The Nice Guys.
Oh, I agree.
Hilarious. That is like one of the best buddy cop movies you'll ever fucking see. It is. I don't know how many times I've seen that movie.
You just need to do a double header of that and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Just
yes.
Boom.
I don't know about that, but sure, yeah.
I think like to y'all's point, I guess pigeonholed is the wrong term now that I think about it. But yeah, like I still need to see Blade Runner 2049.
So good.
And when I think of like, what I've seen so far and what I've heard from, the reception and, how it's like been, semi-culturally impact, but like not really because like, it came out at a time where, it kind of got swept under the rug. But my point is his, brand of like character acting and really getting into, a space where he was able to communicate like that, existential dystopianism, like, of Blade Runner and then like the future of Blade Runner, where it's already sort of like a cyberpunk, story. I felt that, well, I have to see the movie first, but for those who have seen it, do you think that like he is not necessarily cutting off that type of acting necessarily or stories, but he wants to let it be in like the vein of like maybe like a soft PG-13, or what do you think?
For Blade Runner?
I think Dave's
point.
Well, no,
I'm saying like his trajectory of where he's like going for now, based off of what he's done like in the recent past.
I think Dave's point about him not wanting to take on those psychological darker roles, the bar was set there for him with Blade Runner. I don't know that he can do anything in that realm like he did with Agent K in that film, because I literally just watched that movie like 2 nights ago. It's phenomenal.
I watched it like 6 weeks ago. So good.
Such a damn good movie. And like it's interesting that it literally followed the same exact trajectory that the first film did, in that it was not financially successful, but it was culturally successful in terms of the film the film crowd. Like it very much had a very similar impact in a similar sense. But I think just on his own resume as far as being an actor, yeah, I could see him definitely taking up the mantle of like a Beavis. I think the thing that really works about that whole skit is the fact they completely play it straight as if they are not Beavis and Butthead. That is hands down like the best aspect of it all. And if they do a film with Day and Gosling as those characters, play it just like that. Have them not even be called Beavis and Butthead, but have someone in the crowd be like, "Yo, Beavis, hey Butthead," just fucking nickname them that and just make a passing line of reference. And they're like, "Those aren't our names," but like make a movie about them, but not actually have them be called them. Like make passing references and Easter eggs to the show, but like don't try and be the show. I know that's what people would probably want, but I think the beauty again of that skit specifically and why they came to the Fall Guy premiere as those characters is because of the fact they just play it straight, like genuine. I'm not using this in a disparaging way, but they're playing genuine dipshits. They're like, oh, we were just kind of invited to this. Cool, right? Like they're just playing it super straight, and that's the hilarious part about this. I watched that skit way after it aired, like maybe a week or two after it aired. Hands down, I'm with Dave. It's one of the funniest things SNL's done in years. Oh my god! Like
I think too.
So my favorite part. My favorite part about it was how Ryan is laughing at how ridiculous it is too.
Everybody's really laughing in that sketch too. Yeah.
I loved it when they just started doing the laugh at that point. It's like they're doing the laugh. They're doing it.
Yeah.
The whole thing is like, I mean, the fact that it's in the background. It's like there's like the two central characters that are talking about like AI and stuff like that, and then he's just in the background, and it's. What's the beauty part about that sketch is what he looks like, and everybody starts laughing and going, "Oh my god, he looks like Beavis." And then of course Kenan Thompson's character is like what the hell? And he's like, he looks like, and then of course I forgot what her name is. And when she lost her shit anytime she looked, and then it was like
she couldn't look at Ryan Day,
right? Dude, she couldn't look at either one of them, but it was funny because. You had Ryan Gosling in the background looking like that. So you have Ryan Gosling looking like Beavis. They extended his nose, the hair, everything. It was ridiculous. But then when they brought in what's the guy's name? Mike Day.
Mike Day.
The fact that like they had to go extreme with him to make him look so much like Butthead to tuck his like fucking upper lip back with the fake braces.
Yeah, the prosthetics for Butthead were definitely a little more.
That added to it, and that's what was great about that sketch was like you already had Ryan Gosling, one of the prettiest, actors out there, looking like that and doing that, and then to just bring in somebody that not a lot of people know. He's just he's a Saturday Night Live cast member, to just totally transform him to make it look like Butthead was it just took it to another level. It's like holy shit, look at that. Like, how do they even pull that off? Because it was so ridiculous, and everybody knew exactly what it was because people know who Beavis and Butthead is. And the thing I fear is like if they do a movie, is that going to be too much? Is it going to go too much over the top?
I have some thoughts around that, and Phil, I think you made some good points that I want to like segue off of. So, them playing it straight, like definitely I can see that being sort of like a cornerstone of the film, and I think that in some way, oh gosh, what was I about to say? Just like damn. Okay, never mind. Circle back to me. I'll remember it. Sorry, I forgot.
I hate when that happens. I get it.
I guess it depends on like what kind of movie you would want to tell with them.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be the toughest nut to crack. I mean, I'm immediately kind of drawn to something like akin to like a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where it's not necessarily them stopping a movie, but like what if they were being in a movie, or what if they're like being pursued to make a movie about them, but then they go through all these hoops and haws and it turns out to be an animated movie, and they were like, well, we can't use your real names, what if we just call you guys Beavis and Butthead? And then it just turns into them watching the TV show about Beavis and Butthead. I don't know, maybe I'm just
not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Axel, I know you got to take off.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Dave. Sorry I couldn't be on for longer, but it's always a pleasure to come on and chat movies.
Yeah, always, man.
Take care.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with that, but Chris, I did, I wanted. What was your thoughts on Fall Guy? I know you saw it tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was good. When I came home, I was telling my wife that this is
My wife.
That this is a rom-com that it doesn't necessarily like, the typical thing. Roll your eyes at that point. It's all like there's a lot for everyone in this. In my theater, there were definitely a good mix of couples and then people like me that just come to watch the movie at that point. The humor, you're right. There's some of it's like, okay, they're just being a little on the nose with the stuff. But once the story kind of starts picking up, you kind of see exactly what's going on. It's like, all right, now I can accept for what this movie is going to be. And then I had a good time.
Yeah. It starts off a little rocky for me, and I'm like, oh no. I mean, not the cinematography. I was like, oh, the way it starts off, there's like a cool, like, whoa, we get like a one shot kind of thing. And I was like, all right, it's cool. But I was like, leaning in, I was like, the humor, I'm like, am I gonna like this humor? But yeah, once the story really kicks in, it's like, okay, I'm starting to feel like the humor, and I had a couple of laugh out loud moments. But yeah, I mean, did you get some Tropic Thunder vibes a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely towards the end, when that third act kind of they lean hard into it.
Yeah, they very much lean hard into it. Yeah, it's just I just keep on saying, like, it's just one of those movies. Like, it's funny. It's a love letter to the stunt community. It's great.
It's just fun. It's just fun. If you're looking just for a fun movie, no expectations going to it, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, have a good time.
I've seen a lot of criticism thrown its way, and I was just like, one from one person that I trust, another from someone that I'm not saying I don't trust, but someone I haven't really paid much attention to, and they were kind of critical of it, but I'm just like, well, I mean, it's a movie about a stunt performer and a director, and it's got hints of rom-com in it. What were you really expecting? I mean, yeah, David Leitch is attached to it as a director, sure, but like, if you pigeonhole a director and we're just getting another action film, and then he delivers something that's not quite that, can you really say you were disappointed? I mean, I suppose so, but like, isn't it nice to see directors kind of, branch out a little bit and not be so boxed in to...
But at the same time, he still delivers on the action. And if not, he delivers more action than some of the other movies he's done. But it's like, it's over the top, and it's kind of meta, it's like, I almost, there was like times where you just go like, is Ryan Gosling gonna wink at the camera? I mean, it's just like, it gets to that point where there are those times he basically does. There is basically kind of those times, and there's some surprises. We won't spoil that for anybody, but there are some things where you go, all right. I was like, yeah. I was like, they foreshadowed that, and it happened at the end. Okay. I was like, whoa, okay. That was pretty cool at the way they do it.
And it's making fun of movies like Fast and Furious. Like, we all poke fun out of it. I like the Fast and Furious movies, but I also know that, it becomes a parody of itself at times.
It does.
And he even directed one. So
yeah. So he and again, it's just like, again, the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, it's,
so good.
They're both great actors and actresses within their own right, but like, putting them together, it's great. Ryan Gosling just has this ability when being paired with this any kind of co-star, male or female at that point. They both bring out the best in each other, whoever he's with. They find a way to elevate it, and that speaks to his ability just to bring it out.
Exactly.
I believe that. Yeah. Well, I mean, sorry, Dave.
No, I was just saying, and they're both just hot, right? Come on, everywhere.
I mean, immediately.
I've had a crush on Emily Blunt for so long. I'm like, Anyways, but
John Krasinski is one lucky man. That's
my god, yeah, good for him. Jesus Christ, I've always thought that, and good for Eva Mendes, or good for Ryan Gosling. What should I say? I don't know. Which I still can't. I always forget. Eva Mendes, you're right. Married. Yeah. He's married to Eva Mendes, who just walked away from the business, and she was like the hottest thing in like the fucking mid 2000s to like the, she was like the hot, and she just was like, I'm done. Who knows exactly why? Married Ryan Gosling, had a couple of kids, and did her own thing, and took care of the kids. It's like, Jesus Christ.
for me,
I really, really like appreciate it because talking to Aaron about it, she's really big into like what's going on with, because I asked her one time because she loves Eva Mendes, and I was like, why don't, like, even in his Oscar stuff, like he doesn't talk about his speech. He's like, that's the thing, he does not bring up his relationship, his kids, like it is completely, that's his private thing that no one's he's not gonna let a light in. I'd say good for him. He has that separation, and I applaud it, and that's probably why it works with both of them.
Something tells me like she probably had like some bad experiences, which we've heard, like that kind of stuff. And maybe she was just like, you know what? This is not what it is. And decided like, hey, I found this guy. We fell in love. And it's like, hey, let's start a family. I'm going to take care of the kids and do my own. Because she still does like fashion stuff. She's very much an entrepreneur on her own regard when it comes to outside the business.
That was literally what I was going to bring up, is like a lot of these actresses, like Jessica Alba is another good example where she's a mogul. Like this woman has like
one of the richest women in the world.
Yeah, and Drew Barrymore too. Like all of these, there's more too that I'm certainly missing, but yeah, they branched off, and to your point, Dave, they became entrepreneurs, and I would think that they're making more money than they were as actresses too.
Probably.
So
they control.
And I love it.
I like.
I'll look at Eva Mendes' post on Instagram. She's like 100% just supports her husband like crazy. She's like, can't wait for my Ken to come back. She posts just shit like that. It's like good, but it's not out there in the spotlight where it's like she again. Maybe one of these days we'll find out exactly what happened, because something probably happened where she had a couple of bad experiences, or something happened where she just was like, I'm giving up this. But then, but obviously with like the two of them, it's like, okay. And they just took their roles, and he's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And, and I really hope that we don't hear like, oh yeah, they're splitting up and blah, blah, blah. Hopefully not. It doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. It seems like they're keeping it. They're trying to be like, okay, we are like these names, because, in Hollywood, it's not uncommon when you have two well-known people that get together, and then all of a sudden you find out, a few years later, they're getting divorced, it's split up and blah, blah, blah. Hopefully they're really trying to be like, all right, this is how we're going to approach it. She was like, I don't want to be in the spotlight and be an actress anymore. I'm going to do this venture. Let's have some kids. I'll handle that. You work. You're going to fucking do the thing and blah, blah, blah. And they just have this team up thing, and hopefully it works for them, because I don't want to wake up one day and look on Twitter that, oh, Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes are divorcing after. I'm like,
maybe part of it too was, similar to her and Jessica Alba, like, being typecast,
could be that too.
Maybe that was part of it too.
Yeah.
Like, and it's nice to, they have publicists and things like that, but they, for the most part, the press kind of respects it. They don't,
Yeah. Nobody pries on like, hey, how's Eva doing? They don't ask them that. They kind of just leave all that. I mean, I don't even think I've seen any. You could probably search and maybe see something, but I don't ever, see anything where it's like, here's Ryan Gosling with, out and about with Eva Mendes and their kids. Like, you never see that. You never hear about that. I think, and it's got to be kind of like a weird thing to do that, but at the same time, it's like, it's when you're in this world, you kind of be like, we got to keep that as private as possible, because they're trying to raise their kids as like, I mean, she comes, from a different kind of culture, and he comes from a different culture. I mean, but it's like you're trying to raise these kids like, hey, we got to keep them out where they're not like in front of paparazzi, and they're not this,
One
that,
of the
and
things
this.
too that I was just thinking about, Ryan Gosling has like had his whole lifetime, in Hollywood, under some
Disney.
sort of, spotlight, even as like, a kid. And I think maybe he has his own experiences as well. Maybe like, there's, a reason why, like, he understands like the impact of being in the spotlight, and maybe like some of the, I don't want to like, maybe trauma is too extreme of a word, but how it like impacts mental health, and how like it can affect self-image, seeing yourself, all over the internet and like having to grow up that way, like a lot of other celebrity kids have to do. So maybe you wanted to, avoid that too.
True.
Possible.
I don't know. Yeah. What are you guys thinking? Kyle, Dimitri, what do you guys think about Ryan Gosling? How hot is he, right? He's so hot.
Oh, yeah. Smoking.
It's not Ryan Reynolds, but...
Hey, look at that. He's no Ryan.
He's a little too waspy for me, but yeah.
I wanted to bounce back to Rhea's question. As a Ryan Gosling fan, it bums me out to hear that he's wanting to kind of hone in on a certain type of role, because I think he's one of the most versatile actors of the modern day. You look at movies like Drive and The Place Beyond the Pines. I mean, dark roles, very gritty, and he kills it. And then he does a movie like, Barbie. And it's like, whoa, he's just all over the spectrum. So it kind of bums me out selfishly just to hear he wants to kind of focus on one thing. But I mean, he'll still be good at it. So
I think it's just like, I think at the time in his life right now, it's like, all right, let's lean into this. But I think it's going to eventually go back. That's the way I look at it, because you bring up a good point because of roles like that where it's like, okay, right now he's just like a hot, he's hot commodities leaning into the whole. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Barbie. It's just kind of like, I was like, okay, but I was like, okay, I get why people are raving about it. And then I was like, all right, lean into the Ken thing. Perfectly fine. I'm like, my favorite movie of his is The Nice Guys, because I fucking love that movie. It needs a sequel. It totally does. And sadly, we're probably not going to get it. And I love what his response, he actually was asked about that. And he says like, yeah, sadly, we were beaten by Angry Birds. They blew us out of the water. And I'm like, but nobody fucking talks about Angry Birds anymore. But I see people always talking about Nice Guys because it's such a good goddamn comedy.
That's really weird too.
I think he should lean into the self-deprecating humor, like
totally.
To your point, like he is so like for the general audience, he's so distractingly, good looking, and in some way, like to kind of deviate the distraction of him overshadowing or taking up the spotlight around the movie and sort of like distracting the plot a little bit, or taking away the focus towards like other folks in the scene. Maybe he like he did in my opinion, he does like a really good job again, like with the self-deprecating humor that is satirical and self-aware of like how conventionally attractive he is.
I mean, and again, I just can't stress, and I know some people are saying that in the chat right now. It's like, he was so good. I mean, Drive, like what you said, that movie, my God, even if you don't even watch the full movie of Drive, watch the first fucking scene of that movie. I mean, I love that movie. I love the movie Drive, but I would catch myself just be like, you know what? End of the night, I'm like, I'm going to watch just the opening scene of Drive because it's so good. It's so freaking good. Because just how it all plays out, the tension, the way it's filmed, and of course Gosling's performance, because he doesn't say like anything in that movie, really. I don't even think, or like in that first scene,
hardly anything.
Especially in that first scene, it's just so good. I'm probably gonna watch it after this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like, I haven't seen it in a while. I might just watch that first scene because it's on YouTube. You can literally just type in the opening scene of fucking Drive and you can find it and watch it. And it's just, I mean, the whole movie's good. Watch the whole movie, please. But at the same time, I'm just saying that opening scene is just the best part of that movie. And
agreed.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just, when it comes to him, he's really built himself as that kind of, even though he's, it's not like he's trying to be something, he's not like where he's not a Christian Bale. Christian Bale is a whole different beast. He's not trying to be that. He's not trying to be like that kind of actor where he's like trying to transform himself, but He just knows how to give a good performance. And even with his dry sensibility, I guess you could say, he just can just be funny. And when I watched The Nice Guys, I went, what the fuck? Ryan Gosling is this funny? Like,
he's good looking and funny? I have no chance.
I'm like, it's a too big. I'm like, geez, we already have Ryan Reynolds. Now we have a Ryan Gosling that's also like, it's like it's too much. No, but at the same time, it's like you wouldn't think. Like, I remember I didn't think, I was like, it's Ryan Gosling, and I'm like, and then I watch him, and then I'm like, Jesus, this guy's fucking, like, his dry delivery on lines is so goddamn good. Like, what the fuck? Like, how? It just doesn't even make sense to me. So,
I mean, The Gray Man with him and Chris Evans, his line delivery throughout that is just the straightest, driest you could ever imagine.
Both of them are actually have really funny lines, you know, different lines
in that movie.
But Rhea, you have to step out for a little bit.
Oh no, I froze for.
Okay. I was
going to rejoin and then you troubleshoot that way. But anyway, I'm good.
Right. We're good. But yeah, I know it's pretty interesting. But but what's also pretty interesting, this Dwayne. I don't know if Kyle, Dimitri, did you guys see this whole Dwayne Johnson controversy that came about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
I did it again.
All I gotta say is I show up on time and I don't pee in bottles. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Ray, just come out and I'll bring you back in. I think you're kind of flipping out a little bit with your feed. So go ahead and step out and I'll bring you back in. Yeah, you are kind of freezing up. I don't know if she can hear me. Anyways. But yeah, the whole Dwayne Johnson thing. Well, you know what's kind of funny? Okay, so at the beginning of the week, we get James Gunn responding to somebody about the whole Henry Cavill thing. And, because a lot of people, especially in the Snyder community, was like, damn James Gunn, he fired Henry Cavill. And,
that seems logical,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's like he fired him, and I'm like, but I always said like, yeah, but from what I hear is like he never signed a contract, which was because of $7 theater productions.
$7 productions,
yeah, whatever.
Same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was just like, yeah, but he never signed a contract, and there was always like this whole thing when it came to behind the scenes with that, and when it came to James Gunn, I'm like, okay, I don't blame him. I more blame them and Dwayne Johnson and all this kind of stuff. And even like James Gunn was like, hey, when I wrote this thing, I was like, it was always pitched and meant to be a different thing. And I'm like, I understand that, because why would you want to like come into a studio and be like, yeah, let me try to, work with what you guys got here. It's like, oh, this is all not working. This is all not working. And as much as I wanted to see more Henry Cavill, 100%. But even at the same time, from what I heard too, was like Henry Cavill kept pushing back against Toby Emmerich. It's like, no, this is, I want to do this, and they didn't want to do that. And then when James Gunn came in, James Gunn came in as a fucking wounded puppy because he just got fucking, fired from Disney.
Yeah, I understand that.
So at the same time, I'm like, I don't blame James Gunn for, even if Toby was like, hey, write me something with Superman. And even if like, and possibly, and I will never say that, when people go like James Gunn's a liar, I'm like, I don't think he's like a full-on liar, but yeah, he'll fluff things. And I think one of the things he might have fluffed is the fact that, he didn't want to take on Superman real quick. But I think like when he got brought into DC, he was a wounded puppy. So it was like, hey, if you come in and like give me a treatment for Superman, let's see, and then I'll give you whatever you want. And I think part of the deal when it came to Toby, because Toby Emmerich sucks, obviously, and thank God he's no longer there. And I think he kind of just was like, hey, James Gunn, come in and do this. And I think James Gunn, from what I've heard, even talking with some people, is like James Gunn came in and did write a treatment for a new Superman, because Toby was clashing with Henry, because Henry was like, no, I don't want to do the cameos and all this kind of shit.
Which he's not wrong to say. He wanted substance.
Exactly.
He wanted to be the character.
A full role. Yeah.
There's 100%. A lot of, I think this is why it's like, okay, yeah, you can hate James Gunn, you don't like his shit, fine, but I don't blame James Gunn for the Henry Cavill thing. I blame Toby. I blame the old regime so much because they wanted to do this whole little thing, and of course they were trying to shoehorn Henry. They were like, cameos, you have to have a cameo here, a cameo there, and they were trying to do that, and Henry was like, fuck this, like, what, can I get my movie? I don't want to do cameos.
Well, especially like you see that weekend when after Black Adam that he Henry Cavill makes that very heartfelt Instagram post, saying he's back, he's excited, things like that. Like whatever they sold him with this, he's not an idiot. He's not necessarily. I mean, obviously he's not, because he turned down all these cameos because they wouldn't give him what he wanted. So whatever he was sold on this,
which is sad.
Just ended up blowing up in his face. And so, yeah, I'm with you. Like, if James Gunn's given the keys to castle, this is what he wants to do. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to get another Henry Cavill Superman, maybe ever, but it's his right to say, like, I want, they're the heads of the studio, they get to choose what they want, and they wanted to kind of make some sort of break with the previous iteration of it. Okay, I got what I got. I wish I had more, but that's I blame how he got screwed around. I think that's what I'm more upset about, that he got screwed around and used as a pawn and and tried to capitalize to further other people's. And I think that's why he's just like, fine, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm done with this.
I'm probably super misremembering this, and this may not even be true, but was there, a point where he had when he was contracted to play Superman, he had 3 appearances that he was obligated to use, and he was like biding his time to use the 3rd one, and then the one in Black Adam was supposed to lean into 4. Like a contract, it
would have been 4
renewal.
Well,
I'm probably like off. Please correct me.
What I heard from my sources is the fact that he didn't get a new contract when it came to further doing Superman cameos. Mind you, he did have a Superman cameo or a Clark Kent cameo in The Flash that did not get used as well, that he filmed. But it was just like one of those things where apparently they promised him a contract for future Superman films, and I guess he agreed to that, and it did. I mean, again, like when you read that article that came out when it came to Dwyane Johnson and all the fuckery, and we'll talk more about that, but it actually said, like, when it came to all that he fired Danny Garcia as his representation. And it's just like, yeah, because it got to the point where it was like, what the fuck's going on here? It's like he's trying to like do his thing, and when you're cast as Superman and he's been trying to like push back against what this studio had wanted for a lot of things, and he's like, hey, I have ideas where we can take Superman and further this story. Obviously, but again, I think, there was a lot of people in the Snyder community that are already like going like, he sucks. Look at it. He's doing this. He's doing that. And yeah, a lot of people would have still done that too, because he wanted to go a different way when it came to Superman after what happened, with everything that happened in his character with the Snyderverse story, and which is totally fine. I'm like, I'm all for it. I'm like, fine. It's whatever.
I always wondered like why he fired Danny, because like obviously her track record is impeccable, and maybe like I had some thoughts around, her and Dwyane are, like a power ex couple, and I can imagine, a lot of the success that Dwyane has had in his career is attributed to Danny, and potentially her being just, an assertive, force to advocate for her talent and to get the pay that they deserve, as well as, the amount of and to showcase their talent as much as possible in the projects that they create. So maybe like I had some slight, speculation that her being so aggressive, like, in the boardroom may have like been the detriment of Henry potentially negotiating. And maybe there was something there where like, yeah, like if we're going to, be like, if we're going to go hard, like on every deal, then, I need to, figure something out where, I can like meet more in the middle as far as like management being my advocate, because if we're going to continue to be this aggressive in negotiations, we're not going to be able to work with anyone. So that was like kind of my tinfoil hat, speculation, not knowing anything.
I think if I had a tinfoil hat anything, I think some of the blame should be shouldered on Abdi and DeLuca in their brief time as heads of DC, because if anyone would have promised Henry Cavill anything at all in that time before Black Adam, it likely would have been them.
Yep. Totally was. That's what I heard. I was like, it was totally, but at the same time, they were trying to keep as much as what happened before. Right. And I don't blame them. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like,
they were doing the job as presented to them in the time frame that they had it. Right. But, and then, James Gunn even went on the Happy Sad, or not James Gunn, Henry Cavill went on the Happy Sad Confused podcast shortly after Black Adam and said, yeah, I'm meeting with James Gunn soon. And I heard this from someone very close to me in that side of the entertainment industry, that it's my understanding Henry Cavill did not walk out of that conversation with Gunn too happy. But can you blame him for walking out not too happy? No, I don't think so. Yeah. I completely get it. Mm-hmm. But and I don't even blame Gunn either, because, creative freedom and all that. Ultimately, I think what this does boil down to is, unfortunately, a classic case of creative difference where you have, Toby Emmerich, the studio, whoever wanting to do something a little more old fashioned with Superman, even though we already went through the trouble of trying to move Superman away from that. But clearly his hardcore fans don't want to move away from that. So let's just go ahead and appease them, I guess. And you have the current actor being like, no, I don't really want to do that. I even have someone here, i.e. Chris McQuarrie, who's like, hey, I might have a soft rebootish idea for Superman. What do you say? And the studio was like, no. It's creative differences, and it's just a really unfortunate game that Hollywood likes to play time and time and time again with a lot of actors, and especially when there's a large amount of money involved, things can get really murky really fast. And I think even Ray has a point about Danny Garcia being aggressive in these kinds of talks too. I think that very well could have been detrimental to him playing Superman again. But at the same time, I don't really blame Henry Cavill for being like, no, I really don't want to do cameo roles. Like I did 3 movies, all of which were criticized in one form or another. The only time the one movie he played as Superman that got some sort of pretty all across the board praise was the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
And it's just like, can you blame him? Can you blame him for being like, no, I want a full fucking movie where I'm Superman and I'm doing the thing that Superman does? Not at all.
Yeah, I think it was just like he, because there was, what Snyder was trying to do was obviously just deconstruct the character, and to kill him in the second movie was just like, what? And still people go like, what the fuck? And, a lot of us just go like, fuck yeah, man, do it. Yeah, do that shit. Kill him in the second one, and it worked, at least for us when it came
twice,
to BVS.
Why not? Just to totally exceed expectations, twice.
But but at the same time, it's like Snyder was like, I want to fucking put Superman through the ringer because he's just this perfect superhero. And I think even recently in an interview, he was just talking about like, oh yeah, like when it comes to what I, still had planned when it came to future stuff is like, when you see those nightmare sequences and everything, and you see like, Superman like floating over the broken up Hall of Justice and holding Batman mask and everything like that. It's like, yeah, he succumbs to the anti-life equation after Lois gets killed, and it just drives him to madness. Snyder was like, I'm going to take this perfect superhero. I'm going to fuck him up. I'm going to psychologically fuck him up. And that's what Snyder does best, is like, I am going to fuck you up and bring you down. And nobody else wants to like challenge that, but he was like, no, I'm going to do that. Just like when he says, like when he said on Rogan, he was like, when people say, "Oh, Batman can't kill," well, the first thing I want to do is now have him, do that. It's like, if you tell me that I can't do something with a character, guess what? I'm going to do that, and I'm going to challenge that character now and deconstruct that character, but I will eventually bring him back to where you want him to be. And again, there was a lot of people, like you said, Phil, it was like the fact that when he shows up at the end in the Snyder cut, and he is that Superman, he got rebirth, and now he's like, he's saying he's doing the fucking cold breath. He said not impressed. He's doing all the fucking Superman movies. He's doing everything. Everything is so Superman. It's a brief moment, but it took a bit to get there. And I love that, because it's like, and good luck with James Gunn trying to try to create this a unique Superman. And I always say good luck. I'm rooting for you. And from what I've seen, it should be good, but a lot riding on you.
I would love to hear Henry talk about Sasha Calle's Supergirl, because I feel like that would have been such a on screen, just a visual sort of like clashing of wills, and potentially having that deconstruction of Superman and on screen, and being confronted with all this grief, and now like his lack of purpose, like having his whole family ripped from his life, and being on this like rampage basically, and Sasha Calle's Supergirl kind of like battling it out to try and like stop him, or to bring him back to like reality, and finding a new purpose in life, or restore his faith in existence, and maybe just his new life on Earth, or like his current life on Earth. Like, I don't know, like I just see so much potential, or maybe not, I don't want to say lost potential, because like never say never, but yeah, it would have been something that I would have loved to see.
True.
Yeah, I agree.
But I wanted to ask Kyle and Dimitri, like, what are your thoughts on like what's going on with James Gunn and his Superman? Are you guys excited? Or are you guys like,
Yeah.
What's going on with you guys?
I'm like you, Dave. I'm always wanting something to be better than, like I want it to be successful. I want it to be good. Because for me, like as a DC fan specifically, I want to have movies that are good and expand, and you have to have a good start. So I don't blame James Gunn for coming into the mess and wanting to get rid of it and start new. I mean, I loved Zack Snyder's DC films. Don't get me wrong, but after that, it was just kind of a hit or miss, mostly miss, and never knew what the hell was going on. I'm all for the reboot, and I'm hoping it blows me away. Honestly, I really am.
Yeah, I feel like the reboot is necessary. There's just too much studio interference with Zack Snyder and everything that happened with his, Justice League and everything else. Unfortunately, it just was one of those things where starting over is a must, especially with James Gunn's plan to have, I think it's like 10-year plan or something. You can't have Henry Cavill at his age now be able to perform in 10 years the way he's been doing it the last 10 or so years already. I feel like having a new cast with new faces will just be able to bring out more for DC and for the fans themselves. If they're fans of the characters and not just who portrayed them or Zack Snyder. And I'm saying that as a fan of Snyder and the actors themselves, I feel like it's time, and this is the only way to really get DC on the track that it needs to be successful with these characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, even though, like, even though, like I said, it's like, I mean, James Gunn came over as like a wounded puppy because he got fired from Disney and all the stuff, which, about the old tweets and everything. But and he probably just like, they like, come over here. Do you have a Superman idea? And he probably did give that, and he's not going to ever admit that, which is fine. I'm like, okay. But then he was like, no, I took up Suicide Squad. I'm thinking, no, I think they were like, hey, give us a Superman pitch and we'll give you Suicide Squad. That's at least that's what I'm hearing. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I'm just saying, and I don't think, James Gunn's never going to admit that. Like, again, I'm not like one of those like, oh, no, James Gunn is one, no. I don't love the guy. I don't hate the guy. I defend him when I need to defend him. Yeah, I'm like, I defend him when I need, and look what happened. The numbers came out even recently that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was one of the most net profit movies of last year. And I'm like, the guy knows how to make a fucking movie, okay?
Yep.
Regardless of how you like his style or you like him or whatever, guy knows how to make a fucking movie. He turned the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise into something that shouldn't have been nothing. Who knew who the fuck? The majority of people did not know Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And he fucking he made a trilogy that was highly successful. So I'm like going, okay, we got this guy. Now he's going to tackle Superman. All right, lot riding on him, but at the same time, I can have some confidence in him because I know he can make that kind of movie, and he can, when the odds are against him, he can prevail. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm just kind of going, all right, maybe we could, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot riding on him, and I'm like, good luck, man, because Jesus Christ. But at the same time, I'm like, if they're gonna hire somebody to tackle Superman, if they were gonna hire just some nobody, I would be like, fuck no. If I was gonna pick like a nobody director or James Gunn, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you should probably give it to James Gunn. And he seems like he's more in tune to all this.
Like it's hard for me to like, again, I'm excited about it, but I root for these movies to be successful because then it'll lead to more of these movies.
Yeah.
Again, we've said it before. If we don't like the take of it, guess what? We can always go back to the take we do like. But
true.
It'll help continue if we, what MCU is doing with pivoting and trying to, not push as much content, tighten up the ship, make sure the content actually is not manufactured at huge quantities and actually bring back quality to it. And then DC Studios giving us something different. I don't want to see Marvel in DC. I want to see something different and see what they do with it. He's learned a lot from his time at Marvel. He knows what he likes. He knows what he doesn't like. And yeah, there's a lot riding on it being Superman. We haven't had, how many years has it been since Man of Steel?
10, well, actually 11. It'll be 11.
11 years.
11 years.
By the time
at
it
that
comes
point.
out, 12 years. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt right now, just to say like I want to see what his take on Superman is, and then I'll raise judgment.
Yeah.
One of the things that sorry, I was just gonna mention that I guess like if I had to like personally like think of like how I synthesize the negative feedback around James Gunn, it's yes, like, he's had financial success. Yes, like, he's good at deconstructing existing characters and, and tropes, like, across comedy or horror and obviously like, comic book movies. And yeah, like he is, also somewhat, I guess like technically talented in terms of like visual effects too. But the biggest point of contention as far as like what I understand and have heard is tonally, and like that being like a big reason why that it's a little exhausting when there's a lot of tonal breaks in a lot of his projects where the satire is kind of overshadowed by the tone, and then it's kind of lost. And this is one of the things I'm critical of with like satire as well, where to the point that satire is like so like exhausted like throughout a film that it actually becomes part of the problem. So yeah, like TLDR, like I Dave, to your point, I like that you're one of the more objective folks to present information about, Gunn, and you're very facts driven, and yeah, I try to do that too. And listening to both sides, it's interesting because I continue to like learn more about like what are people's like deeper criticisms, and like outside of maybe tone, because that's the most obvious, but yeah, like I'm still gathering I guess like data points to try and like figure out, okay, what exactly do you not like?
Yeah, that's what you got to do. And I get it. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like when I watch like the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, it's like there's sometimes where I'm like, oh man, we got a dramatic moment, and then it's broken up by some fucking stupid joke, and I'm like, why did you do that? There's things where I go, God damn it, there was like a moment that was happening, and you broke it up with some stupid joke. I don't want to. I'm hoping not to see too much of that in Superman. I know we're gonna get it, and I'll be critical on that. That's the thing. It's like I'm not gonna be sitting here thinking that James Gunn's gonna make the perfect fucking Superman movie. But like what we're saying, like what Kyle was saying, it was like, yeah, I always root for the next version to be better. Like when Matt Reeves was like making his Batman, I'm like, all right, make it my favorite Batman. And then I saw it and I went, all right, not my favorite, but you got close, man. It's in my top 3. I'm like that movie. That movie is like up there when it comes to Batman, and I'm like the biggest. I'm a big Batman fan. Yeah, I'm all about it. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, it didn't quite reach certain level. Like when it comes to a cinematic Batman, still Ben Affleck is just that's when I've read comic books and I see him and watch the animated series and see him, there's all kinds of things that are wrapped up that I see in the in Batfleck, and I'm like, that's why I go, that's my favorite cinematic Batman. But when it comes to like Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves, what they were trying to do, I was like, oh, okay, you just brought me something fresh and unique to Batman, that has not been seen. More noir, more detective than we've seen, more noir than we've seen. Okay, I like what you had there. It didn't quite, top some of these others, but you're right up there. You're up there in the top 3 for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's trying to find that balance between like a litmus test for a new presentation of a character who has a lot of precedents set against it. Like, so it cannot even be like a true litmus test where I personally feel like this is an entirely brand new character that James Gunn is presenting to us, and I'm inferring that it'll be a version of Superman that we've never seen before. So I will personally like interpret that as a new character essentially. Like, so yeah. I'm with that in mind, like I'm using the term litmus test to kind of say, well, okay, yeah, like we'll see how the audience responds to that, but yeah, to y'all's point, like there is like a precedent there where it's always going to be compared to other existing like source material, media, things like that, and yeah, it's hard to set that standard of audience objectivity like it was with Guardians of the Galaxy that you mentioned, Dave. But yeah, it's a challenge. I have like a lot of empathy, or like I have a lot of mindfulness around like the challenges that Gunn is faced with. So I guess like to give it a shot, like it's kind of like, yeah, of course, like you want to acknowledge like the hard work and challenges that they're faced with, but I guess like I'm still trying to understand what it is with other folks who are critical of James Gunn, even like spearheading these projects. Like, yeah, like what exactly is keeping you from being excited about it? Because like prior to him jumping into DC material, there was a lot of fanfare for him. Like a lot of like folks really supported him, especially when he was fired from Marvel. So. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little like in that gray area where I'm just trying to figure out what exactly do people want.
What do you want?
That's the tough part when you're, and we're all saying it, like when you're dealing with huge IP like Batman and Superman. They have a large history. They have in film, animation, comics. There's ones that were celebrated. There's ones that not. I don't need me personally, like we've said it before, like these movies are not made for us. In this case, this movie is, you're trying to go after the general audience because it's a business. They want to find something that strikes the general audience. What are we seeing with general audience right now? They want a good story. They want a good story that will make them saying, you have to see this on the big screen. They have to get them in there to say, like, this is a movie you have to see on the big screen to experience it at that point, because again, they know now that it's Warner Brothers, it's going to drop on HBO Max at some point. Yeah. You know, so they have to get that idea of like, why do you need to have this cinematic experience, IMAX, best screen possible, whatever it is, 40X, whatever you want to see. But in the end, at that point, it's that what it comes down to is what is going to bring them in, and what story. I don't need to see what I can read in a comic. I don't need to see that exact story I read in the comic book on screen. I'm good with tips of the hat. I'm good at that. I want to see those characters and have those Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen moments, because that's thrilling for me. But I show me a good story. Show me how these characters are going to come to be.
Yeah, I think
show me characters. Yeah,
I think no, you're fine. I think to address Rhea's question in terms of, you know, why don't people like James Gunn in DC? Not to sound like a hater or a tribalist or anything, but I think I'm probably the most ambivalent of anyone on the panel to the new DC universe. And it's not because I have like a hate boner for James Gunn or anything like that. I don't hate the guy. I don't necessarily know the guy. I'm not exactly his biggest fan either. I don't think the Guardians films are, you know, anything to like, you know, put on pedestals. I think they're fine. I think the first one's good. I think the last one was pretty solid. The second one is not that great, if not just borderline mediocre. The jokes in it are fucking terrible. Like the way he made Drax a joke machine, famously huge turds. It was just pointless. Dumb. Absolutely dumb. Pointless. Very dumb. The whole thing with Star-Lord being a Celestial and then having his powers yanked away from him because his father died. That's not good writing, in my opinion, anyway. Like I don't find that to be compelling. I don't find that to be genius. I just think it's just not well written at all. And then I get to the Suicide Squad. I'm like, this is. I'm glad John Ostrander and you are buddies and you get along. He completely misses the point of what the Suicide Squad is, because in the first 5 minutes he kills off how many characters just for the fuck of it, just to make the name stick. Oh, look, it's the Suicide Squad. I killed a bunch of characters. Amanda Waller did it. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, cool beans, man. But that movie was like not. It's really tough for me because I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy, even though I'm probably sounding like a fanboy because I love the John Ostrander Suicide Squad stuff.
It's okay to sound like you have a passion for these characters. I do. Don't apologize for being a fan.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
The thing is like I have such an affinity for the Ostrander Suicide Squadron. I have the entirety of it in trade paperback, and it's like I love those characters. I love the concept of it. I feel like he just took the name and went, I'm going to kill a bunch of D-level characters just for straight shock value. Oh, and then by the time the climax happens, I'm going to have the most ridiculous character kill off the fan favorite. And I was like, I don't really like that. I really despise that he killed Rick Flag. That to me was like a red flag for me. I was like, I do not like this. And then he ended up making a Peacemaker TV show, and I was like, this is a mistake. This is a straight up mistake. Even though I even also maintain
me personally.
Yeah.
I think it surprised a lot of us, but I actually liked the Peacemaker movie or series. I was like, I wasn't expecting to. I was like, oh, wow, this is gonna be horrible. Then I watched it. I'm like, yeah, did everything work? No, but I was like, wow, why did I'm watching, going, I kind of like this.
It's not great, but at least its story is way more consistent than anything Titans ever accomplished.
That's true.
Then again, you know, the bar is really low between the two as it is anyway. But like
very low.
I don't know. Like people love to throw out, Brightburn. Oh, he made Slither. He's got a lot of range, and I'm like, okay, here's the thing. He produced Brightburn. He didn't actually make Brightburn.
Yeah,
he just produced
people kind of get those two a little confused.
Right. And then I look at Superman, and I'm like, I look at all his influences he has for Superman. There's a few in there that I do like. You know, he has the Fleischer cartoons. He's got the animated series in there. But he talks a lot about the 78 movie. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You like the movie. You want to appease that side of Superman fans. I get it. That might even be a studio mandated thing. That's fine. That is not my bag. And look at those movies, and then look at Superman Returns, and then you juxtapose that with what Zack Snyder did. Those are literally, that's the barometer for Superman on film, right?
And that's the kind of whiplash I sense that we're gonna have, in the sense of we're not gonna get something in that was Zack Snyder challenging and trying to put something out there.
Oh no.
And if that's, I would not be surprised if the studio has said, like, we need to move away from this and move closer to, and they probably said 78. They probably, and you know what? If so be it, that's the way it is. And if that's what gets us back to a Superman that can be okay, it is the way it is. It didn't, people say, like, look at the box office at that point. Okay. That is unfortunate.
If he can make a decent Superman movie for under $200 million, they will be fine financially, I think. And, I think with his name attached to it, you're going to get fans of the Guardians films flocking to this movie.
Oh, his name will bring people to the theaters at that point. If the story is, that's what it is. It's got to be the story.
Well, you already know. I think the trailer's going to have, like, from Guardians of the Galaxy director. They always do that whole thing.
The only oddball film out of that equation is the Suicide Squad, because they plastered the fuck out of his name on the marketing for that film, and it did not do as well as on the box office.
But we also have to think that was during a pandemic.
True. Yeah, yes, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
So
very true.
There is that. I mean, I'm not saying that it was going to do like gangbusters, but
I think there's also like a number of reasons why that movie didn't do as well as it could have at the box office. The pandemic aside, the first film, there's a couple other things.
And I know we've talked about it a lot, saying, like, how many characters in this is really a Superman movie. This movie has to do a lot of things. This movie not just has to give us a good Superman movie, but it has to establish what this world is. Yeah. And that's a tall order within itself. It's not just a Superman movie. It's establishing a new world, a new DC universe in film and streaming and all this other stuff that's supposed to be connected at that point.
Yep.
I don't envy this, and we've said it before, the lot writing is, I'm still going to give it a chance, because again, I want this to be successful. I want DC to give me something different, because I have Marvel on one side. Give me something different with DC.
And I think for me, like, the biggest abrasion I have is we've seen what promises are worth, right? Like, we've seen what the studio has promised us in the past. If this movie does not achieve what they want it to, I very well could see a situation where somewhere further down the line, they do exactly what they did after Justice League in some form or another.
I have a question for Kyle and Dimitri. So what...
On the spot, guys.
Yeah, please shut me up. I should probably
Oh, no, I've been, like, steamrolling the convo, I feel. Anyway, Kyle and Dimitri, so what do you think in terms of, like, how Gunn balances character, rapport building and relationship fostering versus how focusing on that and how friendly and, laid back and personable his characters seem to be on screen, versus how that actually drives the plot forward, and is it a detriment in your opinion, or does it, like, help at all?
I think it depends on the movie. A little bit of both. Like with Marvel, it's a whole different feel than what we expect from DC, with DC naturally being a darker storyline with this character. So I feel like if he tries to make it like Marvel, it won't work. I'm not saying it's going to be as dark as what Zack Snyder was doing with his movies, but if he can at least put it in the middle, I feel like there's enough to actually build with the characters and at the same time give the fans what they want from the DC movies.
I've always said, like, find a balance between, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, just saying, I've always said, find a balance between Superman 78 and Man of Steel. Find that balance. Anyways,
agreed.
Go ahead, Kyle.
No, but to answer her question, I would say, with, like, Guardians of the Galaxy specifically, I I've always been a DC comic fan. I've read some Marvel. Like I'm a big fan of Venom and Carnage. So, and X-Men. But I didn't know who Guardians of the Galaxy were when they first released that teaser when they were lining up for the mugshot or whatever. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I fell in love with the characters in the first film because of, like you said, the way they're presented, the friendly nature of, well, there's a friendly, innocent nature of some of the characters, and then there's like a stupidity to some of them, you know, whether it's Peter Quill thinking he's like something bigger than he is, you know, a name to be recognized, or Drax thinking he's going to like take on Thanos. I don't know. It makes these characters relatable because it's all emotions or things that we kind of go through in real life. Not in such a grand scale, but I don't know. He made these characters relatable, which I think was a really impressive feat. Like I can relate to a talking raccoon and a talking tree, and yeah, so I'm for it. I think he does a good job in that regard. I agree with Phil. I don't like the second one. I think he got way too carried away with trying to really nerf what he was working on in the first movie with the character progressions, especially with Drax. And it kind of fell off for me. And then in the third movie, it picked back up again. But because of the way those characters were relatable, it gives me hope for Superman, because what I love about Man of Steel and the way Zack Snyder, like Dave talked about earlier, breaks down these characters, it makes them relatable, which I think is really important when you're telling a story in a movie form. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of part of that litmus test, you know, I guess, like, analogy I was trying my best to kind of illustrate, where, yeah, these characters are being reimagined, and yeah, like I said, I'm imagining this version of Superman as an entirely new character. So in the way that Kyle, you focused on, like, yeah, like Gunn is good at like making his characters relatable. I think that's one of the biggest things that can really help this film when it comes out, where yeah, like this just like godlike figure that we're, you know, we've been introduced to, at least like in the latest iteration in film, is presented in a way where, yes, like we're, you know, we're seeing this character potentially, you know, navigate like, you know, a world full of, you know, superpowered beings, but maybe he's sort of like that insert, you know, character that a lot of films have, where, yeah, like the relatableness is there, and yeah, like, you know, the just like the vast sort of like landscape of the world around him being like more than just his hometown and then the city where he works in. So I do think that it has that going for it, because it is letting us know that there's more out there to you know, like, yes, like I think like I'm imagining that there is like, you know, a reaction sort of thing where, you know, it's so overwhelming, it's like so like, you know, like it just, you know, makes it feel like it's a larger setting, as opposed to just being like a microcosm of like, you know, a certain setting.
You're right, yeah, because
absolutely.
I mean, like, yeah, because like when everybody goes like, you know, you want something different, it's like, okay, so I'm gonna have a Superman that's gonna be fairly young, but he's not a fresh Superman. We're not gonna do the whole origin story, but we have other heroes that are part of the world, and random ones we haven't even seen, you know, in like a live action setting. And I'm like, okay, there you go. There's your fresh take. And, you know, and I'm not going to lie. Like, I think David Gordon-Sweat's going to be a great Superman. I just everything that I've seen from him in the past, ever since he's been announced, I'm like, okay, I think this guy is going to be a great Superman. And Rachel Brosnahan, I'm just falling in love with her. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, I'm just like, you know, nothing against previous Lois Lanes, but I'm just like I'm looking at Rachel Brosnahan going, I can't. I'm like,
So on the subject of Sorry, on the subject of fresh takes, correct me if I'm wrong. Lex Luthor is the main antagonist in this film, right?
But is he? But is he?
Like, did he confirm that, or that's what I'm?
Well,
I don't know if he's outright said it.
Yeah,
he's never outright gone up and said Lex Luthor is in this movie.
He basically has said like, yes, Lex is the villain, but I'm like, but is he? I don't know.
He made a giant post about it on Threads. He responded to someone and said, shockingly, Superman is the protagonist of the movie, and shockingly, Lex Luthor is the antagonist of the movie. And it's like, well, that leaves a little wiggle room for other characters to show up.
Choice of words, Choice of words. Antagonist versus villain.
Yes.
I just have a feeling that there's going to be something, a Brainiac, a fucking, I don't know.
That's what I want.
Yeah, or somebody's just going to be manipulated. I don't know. It just seems like James Gunn taking the approach of doing the whole Superman Lex Luthor thing. It's like, yeah, that's going to be there, but there's going to be something else there too, because it's like he knows, hey, that's been done before. So it's like, I mean, it'd be awesome if there was like a parasite in there or a fucking, something else, like, one of the other rogues gallery in there when it comes to Superman, because, not a lot of people know about the rogues gallery of Superman and some of the other characters that are very interesting characters that maybe could be involved. I'm not saying that Parasite's going to be in there, but it would be pretty cool.
It'd be nice.
But, Brainiac has always been, anytime you hear about the live action Superman movies, you always hear about, oh yeah, the next movie is going to have Brainiac. The next movie is going to have Brainiac. You hear about that. It's like, you always hear about that. Even like Snyder teased that, like when you watch Man of Steel and you see the fucking world, the machines, and you see like the three, it's like, that's the symbol of Brainiac. He was teasing, he was already teasing it there too, but of course they didn't go with it. They went a different realm, but maybe at one point Zach was going to be like, hey, somehow we got to incorporate Brainiac. And even with Superman Returns, they were like, yeah, the next one, Brainiac. Everything was always next one, Brainiac, next one, Brainiac. So it's like, all right, James Gunn, fucking bring us Brainiac, for God's sakes, for shit's sake, bring us Brainiac.
It'd be nice.
I kind of hope that by saying the antagonist, he's kind of doing something where Lex is in the background, but we'll see another villain, and maybe at the end of the movie there's like something that suggests they're going to team up, or kind of like similar to the Batman, how the Joker's there, he interacts with the Riddler, but he's not the main antagonist.
Well, I mean, like if you watch Superman the animated series, there's an episode of Superman the animated series where Brainiac is manipulating Lex Luthor to make his robotic body. Such a great episode. And it's like, man, if you could do like something similar to that, where it's like, yeah, Lex Luthor is, you would think like, okay, he is the antagonist. But if like there's a manipulation happening behind the scenes, it's like, God damn, that'd be pretty sweet. It's a great episode because it's like, it's literally like Brainiac is manipulating Lex Luthor to create his robotic body. Like he's like having sleepless nights and forcing him to make this robotic body, because one of the things that, you have to remember is Lex Luthor is a super smart. He's like one of the smartest people in the world. He knows this stuff. I mean, like what I love about Superman, the animated series, is like, he's very vain. He's very, hey, look at me. Hey guys, look what I'm creating. He's one of those, shoot first, ask questions later, because he'll create something that he's like, this is a good idea, but then it fucks up. And, that's just the normal dynamic. And it's like, it's just Lex Luthor. And I'm like, when it came to that episode of Superman in the animated series, I'm like, man, that's a good way to introduce like a kind of Brainiac kind of situation. If you have this alien technology that needs a body, it's like, yeah, you try to find the most, one of the smartest men in the world, who is very like much of a villain to the Kryptonian who is on the Earth. But we'll see. Who knows? We need a Brainiac in cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like Parasite also is just as good as a choice too, because that character specifically, great character, but also it just feels like a character that is in the wheelhouse of James Gunn.
Totally,
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I when I think of James Gunn making a Superman movie, I don't immediately like jump to Brainiac, even though obviously that is the thing to jump to given Superman's history on film. But it's like if James Gunn is making a Superman movie, I'm like, okay, he's going to go for something a little unconventional. I could either see like a Bizarro, a Parasite, or even at the very, very least, but I doubt, Mxyzptlk.
Yeah, he probably could do something like that too.
I think when Rebecca Johnson was on early on when this film was just getting started, she mentioned the idea of like, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen's comic book kind of taking being a nice inspiration for something akin to what a James Gunn Superman movie could look like. Because there's at one point Mxyzptlk like turns Jimmy Olsen into a giant monster, and it's like, that's very much something James Gunn could probably accomplish. So, I don't know.
Could do that too. I mean, he brought us Starro. Let's not forget. I mean, he did off that.
Yeah. He did a version of Starro. You're right.
He did a version of Starro where it was like, it was interesting. For me, I was like, it's fine. It was fine. That's the thing. Is like when it comes to the Suicide Squad, I'm like, I like it, but I also go, I don't love it. I'm just kind of going, it was fine. It was fine. It was a fine entry into the Suicide Squad. Kind of, there's some great Harley Quinn scenes, and stuff. But I didn't like that Rick Flag got killed by Peacemaker. But I did like the scene, how it was shot with the whole helmet shot.
Sure,
cool. Yeah. So I mean, James Gunn has some pretty cool ideas, but I do want to shift it a little bit because, when it comes to like characters realizing like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go this route. How are we feeling about Chris Hemsworth going, yep, fucked up on Thor Love and Thunder. Jesus Christ, we went too far. We went a little too far when it came to Thor Love and Thunder, and it was a parody, which I have said from the very beginning. A lot of people, I'm not just saying I've said it, but I always said that Thor Love and Thunder was just a fucking 90 or 2-hour fucking Saturday Night Live sketch. It was just like that.
Oh yeah.
And I love the fact that he came out and said it. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts about that.
I'm excited to hear Chris talk about this. I haven't heard him talk about it yet.
Oh, you haven't listened to Marvel Alliance yet?
I have not listened to it yet. I took the day off and I've been taking care of a bunch of other shit before I watch Star Wars. But yeah.
That's fair. I appreciate him. It shows that he cares about the character. It shows that, I understand where he said like he felt at a certain point. I think Infinity War is a very good character look at Thor itself. I am one of these people that I do enjoy Ragnarok, especially because, he said I wanted a change in character and that's what he got. I like the portrayal. It's not the Thor necessarily, but I applaud it for what it is. There's some great scenes. I'm a big fan of Let's Get Help because I think it's just funny. Two brothers just screwing around and joking. But yeah, Love and Thunder, not my tempo, but I like that he wants to give it one more go before he may want to step away from the character, being done with it. And he has that right to say that, but again, he's also the person to say that it's not fully just his fault. You know, it's one of those ideas where, okay, Taika Waititi, double down on being Taika Waititi. I think, if Thor: Love and Thunder was your bag, great, awesome, not mine, but it still was financially successful.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it was like, okay, so they shifted, and I wasn't a fan of Thor Ragnarok when it came out as much. I'm not saying I hated it. There were some things I really dug about that, and I was like, all right, they made him funny. Okay, cool. And then of course when Infinity War came out, I remember there was that whole thing where it's like, okay, they shifted the character, which I get why they did that, because it's like, hey, Thor is kind of like the one that's left in the dust. And when it comes to I mean, you got you got like three, you got all these Captain Americas, you got these Iron Mans, and they're all doing successful. Thor, not doing so much, especially after Thor: The Dark World. So it was like, all right, we need a shift. And I get why they did that. And they were trying to be like, all right, let's bring a Planet Hulk kind of element to this whole thing. And it was like, okay, fine. And I didn't really full on dig it at first. But after watching Thor and Love and Thunder, I went, oh my God, I actually like Thor Ragnarok even more.
Yeah.
because that was consistent,
And I know a lot of people say that, when Endgame, they, that was a story that really just, they just didn't like it. I said, well, here's the thing. I said, the man literally lost most of his people. All right. Yeah. Now he's giving with a fraction of his people on Earth. He feels like he failed at that point. This is a man that's dealing with, that is his trauma. That is what he's dealing with. So I'm looking at it from that angle. Okay, is it the way I wanted it? No, but I'm trying to look at it from an angle of what they're trying to go for with the character.
You know what? I actually understood, as much as I was like, yeah, it's a bit much, but I understood why they went that realm, especially after Infinity War and him not defeating Thanos. Let's face it, when it comes to Infinity War, even though I was like, I'm not the biggest fan of Ragnarok, what the Russo brothers did with Thor in Infinity War, I thought, oh, redemption right here. He's like, and his entrance when he shows up with the final battle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was
absolutely.
one of the best. And I'm like, okay, this is badass. And then to just kill kill that with like, oh, he defeated Thanos. Look at that. He put, he's got him. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but Thanos was like, no, you should have went for the head and blah, blah, blah. And it made sense because they built up Thor so much in Infinity War. So even though I was like, yeah, fat Thor, some of it was like a little too over the top and it was not my, it's like, I thought it was a little too much, but at the same time, I understood it because it was like, goddamn, he was so built up and he like went through even hell through the first one to be like, yes, I got him. I'm going to get him. Bring me Thanos. I got him. And then to just fail and then half the fucking universe died. I went, okay, I understand it. I understand that he's now this fucking slob and blah, blah, blah. But he even had some good moments in Endgame, to be honest. Yeah. I thought, they really did a good job when it came to just that final battle of like the three of them, like taking on Thanos and doing that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Endgame has its problems. Like, it's not all great. It's not Infinity War. Infinity War is still like, that's top notch. Endgame is, it's down. It's not the worst, but it's still up. There's things where I go, okay, but I enjoy it because I like the time travel aspect of it, of course.
I have nothing nice to say about either of those Thor movies, and honestly, it's
okay.
I think ultimately Chris Hemsworth should not be the one apologizing. It should be Taika Waititi because in my humble opinion, a lot of it really kind of falls on him for making Thor into kind of this dingus. That's kind of where I'm at with it. A lot of people like to say that Zack Snyder destroyed or ruined Superman. In my humble opinion, I think Taika Waititi destroyed the perception of what Thor is. But that's
he definitely did. But the thing is, my only take is like Chris Hemsworth leaned into it.
100%. I can't disagree with
that. I always say what I was saying this week was, blame Taika for the most part in Marvel Studios because they were like, do it this way. But I do still like when people are like, there's no blame on Chris. I'm like, there's a little bit because that's the character that put him on the map. And if you have a character like that, you have to be collaborative and make sure that, hey, things are like, this is my character. This is the character. Robert Downey Jr. had to do that. So did Chris Evans, and so did Scarlett Johansson. You have to when you have established your character, you have to take ownership a little bit of that character. And I think Chris Hemsworth maybe should have been like, well, wait a minute here, and maybe pulled back on some of the fucking. And he even said that, and that's what I like about his quote is the fact that he goes like, you know what, I got too wrapped up in the whole thing. I thought, and then he said, I became a parody of myself. And I was like, thank you. That's what I said. I'm like, he is now a parody, and a lot of people are saying he's now a parody. And I'm glad that he takes ownership of that.
He is trying to, with his recent, looking at the genetic disposition, what he has at that point. Yeah, he's going through a lot of introspection. I respect that for him.
Yeah. What do you guys think, Kyle, Dimitri? What are you guys thinking about, like, what's going on with Chris Hemsworth? Anything?
I respect that he said what he said. Like Chris was saying, it shows he cares about the character.
Exactly.
And I actually commented on your stream the other night. I had watched The Northman recently, and I can't help but imagine what a Robert Eggers Thor movie would look like. Not that I want to tie him down in shackles by the MCU and all their.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I made a thumbnail that was like, Robert Eggers, and I had somebody help me. I had Fear Jason, who is in the chat. But yeah, I was like, dude, like put Chris Hemsworth's body on like Skarsgård. I forget which Skarsgård it is.
Alexander.
I was like, put him on there and then put a helmet on him. And I was like, do that. And then I created the background, and we actually created like a cool thumbnail. I'm like, can you imagine if Robert, if he did that, So I'm with you on that, Kyle.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I also, the tone of the first Thor movie was just cool. And it'd be cool to go back to something like that. If not a little darker, but
Zack Snyder's Thor.
Why not?
I mean, cool,
he would do a good job. He would do a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, Dimitri?
Yeah, I mean, respectable is definitely the correct wording for his statement, in my opinion. But again, blame's not all on him. But I feel like they should have left him, like you kind of just said a second ago, left him more in the realm of how he was when we first saw him. It definitely got way too marveled, for a lack of a better term.
I love that. What is that verb?
I definitely respect
a verb.
Coming
Thank
out
you.
and just
Marvel
owning up to it.
But at the same time, it's like you understand. It was like after Thor: The Dark World, and the fact that it's like, Thor was kind of like, I get why they did that, and after watching Thor: Love and Thunder, I actually had more respect for Thor Ragnarok because it had a consistent tone of like, okay, this is what it is. It's fucking, it's essentially, fuck, I can't remember what's that space movie? God damn it, I can't remember. That was inspired by, that George Lucas got inspired by. What was it?
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon. Yeah, it was like a Flash. It was like a kind of like a Flash Gordon kind of type of movie, and it was like, not all the jokes worked, but it was just like it took place out in the cosmos. It had the Hulk in it, and I remember after watching Thor: Love and Thunder, I rewatched Ragnarok, and I went, you know what? Okay, so with this one, Taka and everybody was like, hey, let's keep like a tone of this, and they knew the assignment, and it worked. Even if I didn't fully like it. You watch Thor: Love and Thunder, it's like they had no fucking idea what the hell they wanted to do with that. It was such a jumbled it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. And poor Natalie Portman had to get, brought back into it. And it was just, you just watched
Bale. I was really excited about Christian Bale too. That was
there was a lot of potential.
Ironically, they are the best parts of that movie.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, the scene, like, the final act when they're on the Shadow Planet, it does look kind of cool. I'll give it that. But it's still, there's maybe some cool things with there. But overall, that movie is just a big whole shit sandwich. And I like the fact that Chris Hemsworth is just like, you know what? I get it. We didn't stick the landing. It got too far. And hopefully they can do, like, a really cool something with Thor that could just be like, something where he could get a send off. That could be his last one. He could have his own Logan, even though, Hugh Jackman's coming back, but that's a whole different thing. It's like maybe you can have a cool little send off where it's like, hey, Thor is now. I mean, remember Russell Crowe was, oh God,
yeah.
What they did with Russell Crowe is like, oh God,
yeah. Why is the Greek god speaking like an Italian?
Oh God,
why?
God, that whole sequence was like.
That was a choice.
Definitely a choice.
Yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
That was close. Greek, Italian.
Cool. We get to see Chris Hemsworth naked from behind. Congratulations, you have a perfect body. But at the same time, it's like this whole scene is horrible. Like, what are we doing here, buddy?
Also, like
all to show your butt. Okay.
Just I think the volume tech being so heavily reliant in that film made it look all the more uglier.
Dude.
Like there are ways where you can utilize the volume technology and have it look pretty seamless, but I really feel like that was just a complete abuse of that technology, and it just makes the film look really ugly in a lot of spots.
It was so bad. It was so bad. It was really so bad.
Like noticeably bad.
Very noticeable. But good on him for copping to it and being like, you know what, I'm regretting that and everything, and I like that, and looking forward to Furiosa, and I think he's gonna do awesome in that movie. It's George Miller. It's Mad Max. It's everything. But I think this is a good spot to wrap up this stream. I think we got into all the topics right here. I wanted to make sure we talked about Thor. We talked about the Henry Cavill experience. And then, of course, we had a good conversation talking about your guys' film. And hopefully everybody goes and checks it out. I'm going to be posting more about it, and it's a really good short film. Check it out, guys. We're getting more, and I want to say thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for talking about your short film, and good work. Just great work. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the future. Like I said, you guys teased it already, and I wasn't sure what was exactly happening when that was all going on. And then when you said, oh, yeah, that's going to be, oh, okay, cool. And that got me more intrigued, especially when you freaking said, oh, yeah, you remember with the old man? I'm like, all right, you just, you blew my mind, because I knew I saw something right there, and I don't want to spoil it for nobody who's seen it, because I was like, I knew I saw something. I even fucking rewound, and I'm like, was that a mistake? I mean, I did that, and I didn't want to bring it up, because I didn't want to say like, oh, you guys fucked up right here. But I was like, but good job. That just made it make me like your film more. So thank you guys for showing up, man. And great work. Promote, talk about anything you need to want to promote right now. We'll go, we'll start with you, Kyle, and then we'll go to Dimitri.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a podcast, I Have Stone Podcast. It's been on a hiatus for a while, but we're planning on coming back this summer. So I'm really excited for that. We're actually be doing an episode on signs, which Dave, if you're still down to do that, we're gonna have you as a special guest.
Dude,
so that'll be cool.
I am all about talking about signs, man.
That's actually Jordan's favorite movie. So you guys will be able to talk about that a lot.
Movie.
But,
yeah.
And then Mary Crow, Twitter, Instagram, and it's on YouTube, the whole movie. So free to watch. It's there. That's it.
There it is. Dimitri.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing.
Piggyback on me.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I do best.
I do all the work.
Yeah, I'm just the pretty face and the guy behind the camera. That's all it is. But yeah, follow us on that. You can follow me on Nightmare OBF. All one word. There's a K in the beginning. Where I also post the updates from I Have Stone and any little thing we're working on or releasing out to the public.
There you go. Thank you. All right. And then we got Chris.
Yeah, thanks as always for having me on, and pleasure to meet you guys. I'm looking forward to watching it this weekend. And again, congratulations, and looking forward to see more from y'all. But yeah, you can follow me on. Absolutely. You can follow me on all the socials at Chris Balga. I'm on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, which you can simply look that up on any podcatcher of choice, or co-host of Marvel Alliance at Marvel A Podcast, and host of World's Finest True Believers at Finest Believers.
There it is. All right, Phil.
Well, thank you again for always inviting me. It's a pleasure to get to talk to you and everyone else about film. Guys, I will happily watch your movie either tonight or sometime tomorrow because it's getting kind of late on my end. Looking forward to it, especially since it's this out of order type of storytelling, kind of Nolan vibes from what I gather. Looking forward to the other 2 films you guys have cooking. It's a pleasure getting to chat with you guys and listening to you guys talk about filmmaking and whatnot. So anyone wants to follow me, it's just at Unfiltered. Pretty much everywhere except for the Twitter X app, mostly on Threads. And you can also catch my podcast, The Eternal Night, as well as you can catch me on the 4 Nerds every Wednesday at about 4 o'clock Pacific time. So,
and last but certainly not least, Miss Rhea.
Yeah, I am kind of like in the community, interacting with folks, supporting folks, and sometimes joining panels. You can catch me on Twitter at Glimmering Harpy, where I talk about a bunch of random stuff, like including video games, film, other things of interest too. So yeah, love interacting with new folks and making new friends.
There you go. All right, guys. We appreciate you, and thank you to Axel. I think that was the only other person that showed up tonight that left, and now follow him and everything like that. And we love you guys, and thank you guys, everybody here. We got Kyle, we got Dimitri, we got Rhea, we got Phil, we got Chris. Thank you guys for joining. We will talk to you later.